everybody's added. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Good to see you all again. And it's been a while, so it's good to get back together. I'd like to go ahead and convene the February 2022 Committee on Accreditation to order. Please call the roll.
Cynthia Amos. Jamaline Bilatayo.
Here.
Kathy Kreisha.
Here.
Katrina Chakowski.
Here.
Carol Forbes.
Here.
Carol. Bob Fraley.
Here.
Mike Hillis.
Here.
Lynn Larson.
Here.
Marty Martinez.
Here.
Jason Lee. Gerard Morrison.
Yeah.
Kevin Taylor.
Yeah.
Michelle, looks like Jason is just joining us now.
I see.
Got him.
We're calling roll, Jason. Okay, we have a quorum.
All right.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you. I'm going to stay off video while I do the introductions here just because it is glitching, and I want to be sure that the information that I relay right now is not going to be and then we'll try to adjust accordingly. But for right now, let's go over the logistics. This is another web meeting, and this is a reminder that we are once again conducting the meeting entirely virtually. And just a few reminders before we get started. Most staff and members are participating from their own locale, and a few may be in the commission office. The Zoom link has been made available to the public. For Zoom identification, we'd like to ask that everyone please check their Zoom ID and be sure that it contains your first and last name accurately so we're able to call on you appropriately, and also so that we can get all names accurately recorded in the record. If you need to update your name, click on
I think we're losing you at some points.
Okay. All right. Let me keep going.
Would you like me to jump in, Bob?
Yeah, Marty, you want to go ahead and I'll see if I can reestablish a better connection here. Thank you.
Okay, so Bob was just asking that everybody update their name. So if you need to update your name, click on the three dots in the window with your picture to bring up the rename option. When it is time to take up an item, we will need a moment to bring the appropriate attendees into the main meeting room and make sure they can see and hear the committee and we can see and hear them. Participants will need to turn on their camera and unmute. Microphones. So members of the committee, we're going to mute your microphones to eliminate any background noise that may get in the way of others hearing what is being said by the speakers. We ask that when you speak, you unmute yourself, but then please, once you're done speaking, please go back to being muted. Committee members, if you wish to make a comment, please either physically raise your hand on camera or use the raised hand feature, which is located at the bottom of the Zoom screen. If you're unable to do either of these options, you can also send a message in the chat feature in order to signal that you have a question or a comment. Several of us will be looking for those with comments or questions in the chat and the raised hands, but please make sure we don't miss you if you have something to say. Because we are a public body and must conduct our business in the public forum, we ask that you please do not use the chat feature to make substantive comments or have discussions on any items. Public attendees of this meeting cannot see the chat box, and those who view the video archive of this meeting will not have access to any conversations in the chat. When you make your motions, please state the motion in full so that there's no question what the motion is. All votes will be conducted via roll call. Just before the vote, we will remind everyone to make sure you are unmuted so that you do not miss anyone's vote. If you're unable to respond via video or audio, you may make your vote known through the chat function. The secretary will have to read your name and your vote when she gets to the part of the roll call vote to make it an official part of the record and to make sure the public knows what the vote is. Because this can be quite cumbersome, we would like to leave this as the last option. Members, if you have to leave the meeting for any point in time, please raise your hand and let us know so that we are sure we have a quorum at all times and so the record can be accurate. Also, please do the same if you return to the meeting. Members of the public wishing to provide public comment during the discussion of an agenda item will be given the opportunity to speak during the public comment period for each item and then at the end of the meeting. The committee chair will announce when the public comment period is open during the presentation of the agenda item and ask for anyone who wishes to comment to notify the meeting moderator as explained below. Individuals who join the meeting via Zoom webcast will need to click on the raised hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak on the item. Staff will notify the individual when it is their turn to speak by calling their Zoom ID. That's the name used by the member of the public when logging into the meeting. At that time, the individual will be prompted to unmute their microphone and will be able to share their comment. The Zoom ID name used by the member of the public to join the Zoom meeting will be displayed to the public when the individual provides public comment. If you're joining via teleconference, join the meeting via the U.S. toll-free number, and joining the meeting using the toll-free number, you'll need to press *9 on your phone to inform the meeting moderator you would like to speak on the item. The moderator will notify the individual it's their turn to speak by calling the last 4 digits of their phone number and will allow them to unmute their telephone. At that time, the individual will be prompted to press *6 and will be able to share their comment. There is also a time designated for general public comment at the end of the meeting. I want to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded. After the meeting ends, the archived audio and video will be available via the Commission's website. Do committee members have any questions about these protocols? Okay, we'll move on then. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Marty, you just want to check to see if this is working any better. Is this working better, everybody, or is this still glitching?
Still glitching.
No better? Okay, and how about now without video? Is it any better or still glitching?
Sounds like it's okay, but hard to know.
Okay. I've called the tech team over at the university to see if they can come over here and try to figure out what's going on, but unfortunately it's not a great connection. Marty, I know I'm sorry, Co-Chair Martinez, I know you're going to have to recuse yourself for an item coming up, so I'll try to get this solved prior to that.
Okay, great. Do you want me to go ahead and continue then, Bob?
Yes, please, so we don't waste time. Please do so.
All right, thank you. We'll continue with item number 2 then. The first item on our agenda is item 2, approval of the February 2022 agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for the February 22 meeting? Please remember to unmute your microphone when speaking.
I move to approve the February 2022 agenda. Jason.
Thank you. I have a motion by Committee Member Lee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Committee Member Balataya. We'll now do a roll call vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Secretary, please call the names.
Jamaline Bolatayo,
Aye.
Kathy Christian,
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky,
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes,
Aye.
Bob Fraley, Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Lynn Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Aye.
Jason Lee,
Aye.
Gerard Morrison,
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 3 is the approval of the minutes of the prior meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 2021 meeting? It would be appropriate for any committee member not in attendance at that meeting to abstain. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
No public comments, Marty.
All right, then. Do I have a motion?
I move we accept the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, we have a motion by Committee Member Morrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Committee Member Larson. Are there any corrections or changes? Okay, we'll now do a roll call vote. All those in favor say aye, opposed say no. Secretary, please call the names.
Jamaline Bolatayo,
Aye.
Kathy Christian,
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky,
Abstain.
Cheryl Forbes,
Aye.
Bob Fraley, Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Lynn Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Aye.
Jason Lee,
Aye.
Gerard Morrison,
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Abstain.
Okay, motion carries. Item 4 is the co-chair and member reports. Do any members have anything to report? Go ahead, Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, hi, everybody. So reporting from the classroom as well as work as an induction mentor, I just wanted to put a couple items out there from my little worm's eye view out there, working directly with students and with constituents of the CTC in terms of teachers. We have about 5 new teachers on our campus and this year. And I just think imagining what this is like for them is really important for all of us. They did their teacher preparation in an online context. They learned about student discipline via Zoom, and then they signed teaching contracts to work with classes as large as 42 ninth graders. And they have gone from 0 to 60 in terms of what it is that they have to manage. So they have gone from virtual student teaching and preparation to not only in person, but mask wearing students, technology as an imperative, the necessity of AB 167 and meeting the needs of students who are quarantining by extending access to synchronous instruction while kids are out of class. So on any given day, any teacher will be missing maybe a quarter of their students right now due to COVID. So the challenge for our new teachers is immense. And so I would just like to report that from where I am. And then I don't know if this is the time to like put this on the table, but if possible, I'd like to maybe just talk about the timing for induction, because clearly induction is the frontline support for these new teachers, right? And I know that the standards require new teachers to be assigned a mentor within 30 days. But what I'm wondering about is what is in place to ensure that regardless of when a teacher signs a contract and becomes the teacher of record, that person has access to a mentor, which might be very different than their enrollment date, because a program might just decide to enroll people at the beginning of the year. Teacher comes on board in October, like most of our new teachers. They are de facto without a mentor unless that program has a rolling admission sort of policy. So I've discovered that is a critical need that our new teachers have, that districts probably need to meet on a much more flexible basis than previously when things were, quote, normal and people came on the bus, came on board in September. So thank you. That's my update.
Thank you for that reminder about what's happening in the field. It's always great to have that lens and as we consider our decisions. Member Lee? And
I was just going to appreciate the comment just made, and I was going to try to say your last name, but I remember I didn't hear it. And so I was going to skip that piece. But
so, it's pretty easy. Tchaikovsky. It looks
Tchaikovsky,
really
okay.
hard.
So Member Tchaikovsky, thank you so much for sharing that. We just, had that same conversation yesterday with superintendents in our area because of rural districts that don't have people that are willing to mentor, or teachers in large districts that are just at their wits' end and can't take something else on their plate. So I think that comment is well received and is something maybe not for this meeting, but really down the road where we can really map out how do we build in strong support for folks without, programs can only do so much. So it really needs to be about strong partnerships and creativity. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Member Lee. Member Forbes.
Well, I really appreciate these previous 2 comments. And so from the teacher preparation perspective, we're really excited that this year's cohort, at least in Southern California, UC San Diego, has been in the classroom all year long with a rotating cast of substitutes and students, of course, during COVID. So they've learned some very interesting strategies for dealing with that. And I think they've really risen to the occasion and they're very excited. I am concerned that we're not attracting new people to the profession. And just an early warning from our institution, our application numbers were due yesterday and they were way down. And that even includes our own undergraduates who come, who I think the ones who are coming or that we anticipate will come are very solid. They're very committed, but our numbers were way down both internally and also from external applicants. And so I'm concerned about the kind of messages out in the media right at this very time of applications being due. It couldn't have been a worse time for what was in the media about the teaching profession. And then I know at least some students are taking a gap year because they can make more money as a substitute and try to, right now, and try to kind of provide a little cushion. So we're really hoping to get some of these, like the Cal Grant type financial aid for them as well. So anyway, that's just a little bit of what we're concerned about right now in the teacher prep, or at least where I am. So I'm curious if others are experiencing the same.
Member Balataya.
Hi. As a teacher on the field right now, this is an imminent and dire need for us. Our colleagues are quitting, and so I'm always volunteering to be on the hiring committee. And when we hire new candidates who just got their internship credential or anything like that, what we do in our own departments is make sure that we work with this person and provide her or him the most, all of the materials, lesson plans, day-to-day coaching that we can provide as much as we can while subbing for other colleagues also. And so we're really spread thin. But we want to, as much as possible, we want to show, support to our new colleagues who are coming in, because we want to make sure that they also see the light at the end of the tunnel and not just, reach that 5-year. We want educators to retire as educators. And at the same time, we also try to say that and give grace to our own selves day to day, because it's really hard. And we're all thinking about how to make this sustainable for us when currently it's not.
Thank you, Member Bolatayo. Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on what Jo Malene just said. One of the silver linings of the stresses that teachers have right now, particularly regarding the substitute shortage, is that we have to come together as a village to make our schools functional. I mean, I've been in this gig for 32 years, and I have never seen a year like this before. If we didn't cover for each other, like if I don't do class coverage for my colleague who's out for COVID leave for 2 weeks, if I don't give up my prep period to go over and spend 2 hours with his 9th graders, our school would systematically have to put students into the gym where they would be just babysat. And that would lead to a whole cascade of terrible, negative, unmotivating learning loss. So the good thing about the situation we're in, where it is really crisis mode, is we are framing the culture of our school in a way that really has to prioritize students over adults, in a way that really hasn't been evident until now. We can only do this so long, but it does give you a sense of solidarity and purpose when you focus on collectively channeling your efforts toward what's best for kids. So I think this is going to be a litmus test of leadership, of principals and administrators. Can they create conditions that motivate the teachers to sacrifice on behalf of kids? So again, like Jo Malene said, it's about teachers, but it's really about empowering and supporting the leaders of the schools to, engineer those changes that allow them to keep these good people, right? Because we could lose them. Thanks.
Thank you. Member Larson.
I just wanted to add in some anecdotal information from our area. We have district administrators regularly having to substitute in classrooms because there's not enough substitutes. And so that problem is going to continue causing issues for districts as we don't have our district administrators being able to fulfill their district roles on a regular basis. So, we had a superintendent teaching recently because of that. And so, and my concern too is with student teachers going into substitute teaching roles. They chose student teaching, which is unusual. I'm in special education. So for our folks who chose student teaching, they chose that for a reason. And now that type of training that they agreed to do is not available to them. So that's a great concern to me. because they're not able to work with a master teacher. They're being put into substitute teaching situations, which is not ideal. And so I have concerns about that as well.
Thank you, Member Larson. Member Forbes.
Well, I'll follow up on Member Larson's comments because yes, that is a big concern. But I also wanted to give a big shout out of appreciation to the commission staff for being very responsive and turning out a PSD memo on a very short timeline after hearing from some of us in the field. So thank you for trying to help us make sense of all of these kind of crazy things.
Member Frelly. Thank you, Member Forbes.
I'm back up online, so hopefully let me know if this is better. I've changed locations in the building here, so far so good. Can you hear me all right?
We can. So far so good.
Okay.
Let's finish up this section.
Sure.
Member Morrison.
No, actually, I had a couple.
Go ahead.
To make it
Sorry.
right. Yeah,
No, please,
a couple things. I want to piggyback on what Member Larson had said, and regarding what's going on in Orange County. Not only are the districts working with that, with the supervisors and superintendents and so forth, at the county level, the County Department of Education, many of those managers, up to many as 100 who work in that office, have been out in the field substituting as well. And it's been better this week. Things are getting a little bit back to normal, but there still are quite a few who are back out there using their credentials back in the classroom again. So that's just been a bit overwhelming, but I'm glad to see that's starting to make a change. Also want to piggyback kudos to the PSD, the Professional Services Division there. I constantly refer colleagues and student teachers and those in the program to seek out that information. So I think the information you're providing is very timely and it's very, very critical. And so I just encourage everybody to just keep promoting that because it's getting better and better and deeper and deeper. And it's like, to me, the most current information. When I'm not sure what's going on, we check there and there it is. And then lastly, Co-Chair Martinez, I don't know if you had an opportunity to mention our visit before the CTC in December, or Cheryl, that might be something you're going to be addressed. Why don't we sure we do have some comments on that?
Thank you,
Cheryl, will you be addressing that?
Sorry, I wasn't sure if I was muted or not. No, I think actually it would be better coming from both Bob and Marty.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Member Crowley, I was going to address pieces of that, so please feel free to start now. And I know Member Morrison also has a comment from the member reports.
Yeah, we went, Co-Chair Martinez and I, we were before the CTC Zoom, and we did this in December, and we were able to go ahead and report the good work that you all do. And that we do collectively as a committee to them, and also the work of the staff in the support of our work. I think there was well received overall. I think the summary that we presented that was indicative of the hard work that you do, the thoughtful presentation, and where the COA falls within the chain of communication and as far as program approval. So they asked a lot of very good probing questions. And I felt that we were able to provide the answers, and they seemed receptive again to what you all do and very appreciative, which is important. So they recognize your level of expertise, what we all bring to the table, and how that helps support the role of educators in California and what the CTC represents and provides in preparing teachers. So I'll stop there, and Marty, if you want to add some things, feel free.
Yes, I'll do it following Member Morrison's report. Thanks, Member Frelly, or Co-Chair Frelly, I should say. Member Morrison.
I was my comment was referring to the previous stuff, and all of the things that people said, yes, we've been experienced and more. It's been really trying. However, I just don't know the good news side of it. I've had a student teacher this year, and she's been working in my class, and she's come through really well. She's had an excellent year. Despite feeling completely overwhelmed by the situation in September. And the reason I think, apart from her being well suited for the job, was all that support was in place. She did have the support from her university. They were there for her to hold her hand when it seemed like there was no end to it. And so when the process works, it works really well, and it can get people through even the most trying times, which we're going through now.
Thank you, Member Morrison. And I'd like to start off with my comments just really related to the original conversation around induction and teacher shortage, et cetera. So some good news in Northern California. So in our intern program at the County Office of Education, we're up in enrollment by 25%. So which is really exciting. It's our biggest group ever, and we have more wanting to join. And so, and then one of the opportunities that's arisen because of this challenge is I think we're really looking at our systems, like many of you referred to. And so there's a lot more collaboration, I'd say cooperation between IHEs, county offices, districts in finding solutions. And then I really see that CTC and CDE are doing a lot to support that. And so, while it's been a challenge, I see kind of like a few of you have mentioned that the momentum's starting to shift. Like everybody, we're all out in classrooms supporting our local districts, which is also an opportunity to see really what's happening on the ground and think about how do we provide supports that are timely and really meant to take advantage of the moment. So that's the good news. The other piece I wanted to follow up on is when Co-Chair Frowley and I presented to the CTC in December, there was a lot of discussion about recruitment of mentors for induction programs and others. And so I know it's on the radar. And, another area that we'll continue to look at and hopefully develop. And I think, Member Frowley really did a great job of really describing the meeting, and it was really well received, some great questions. And really what I think I would like to highlight with this group is just the appreciation for the hard work that happens here, both from the professional service division staff and all that they do with a small team, but also from all of the work that you do as volunteers and as part of the system. So I'd like to close with that. Are there any other member reports? Okay. Item 5 is staff reports. And Member Co-Chair Frowley, are you ready to take back the reins after this report?
Sure. Yeah, we'll give it a try and see how it works. I'm sure. Yeah, we should be fine.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Well, today we have several updates from Ms. Hickey, Ms. Sullivan, and possibly Mr. DeGuire. Ms. Hickey, would you begin?
Sure. Thank you. It's nice to see everybody again. It's been 3 months, 3 long months filled with everybody. It really is. I appreciate all of your comments. It really is, has been a really daunting period of time for everybody. And we know out in the field, it's been really challenging. We do hear from them often, and we are trying to check constantly with the field to understand what the challenges are so that the commission can respond quickly. The governor issued that executive order, and but the funny thing is that CCAC, the California Counselors and Analysts of California, were meeting that very morning, and we were reading the executive order as everybody else was reading the executive order that morning, and we were getting a lot of questions right away. So yes, we had to kind of work quickly to make sure that we had answers for the field. So thank you so much. We really appreciate your acknowledgement of the work that we do, in addition to it's some amazing work that all of you are all doing out there in the field with the most challenging of times. So just wanted to mention a few things right now. The applications for COA are on our website. You recall that every April, the commission appoints 3 members to the Committee on Accreditation. So we have this year 2 K-12 positions that will be open as of July 1 and 1 IHE. We have 3 members that their terms are up. I think it's Cynthia, Katrina, and Kathy. I believe all 3 of you are eligible to reapply should you wish to do so. So please visit the website, as well as anybody out there listening. We want to spread the word that those applications are available, and please apply. I believe the due date is February 28th, but you'll want to double check that on the website. I wanted to introduce, we finally were able to hire 1 additional consultant, which we, aren't able to do very often. So I wanted to see if Tim Weeks is with us. If you could just say hello. I would like you all to see or meet Timothy. There's Tim.
Good morning.
And Tim comes to us with a really strong background in single subject mathematics. Yay. As well as computer science. He was worked in the private sector in computers. Tim, do you want to say hello and give us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Well, I'd say good morning, everybody, and thank you for having this meeting on my birthday. I appreciate that.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so I've been here, feels like I've been here longer than I have. It's been a little over 2 months. We hit the ground running, just did my first site visit this week earlier with Jake. There's been some challenges with getting started online, but it shortened the commute time, which I like. And so far, everyone's been really supportive. I'm looking forward to it. And as Charlotte mentioned, my background is in K-12 mathematics. I taught in a public school in Oakland for 6 years. And then I also taught in the teacher prep program for 4 years, teaching math methods. And before then, I worked in corporate finance and also as a systems analyst as a programmer. So I have a background in computer science, business, and math.
So we're excited to have Tim join us. He is also kind of helping us with there is a grant program this year that is about computer science authorizations, and Kara is working very closely with them. Thank you, Kara, for coming on camera. So we're really excited to get that out, and Kara will talk a little bit about some grants in a minute. So I wanted to mention that there was, I think I sent you an email, but there was an executive order that extended our ability to meet this way virtually through the end of March. So it looks like our next meeting in March will be able to happen virtually after that. We do not believe it will be extended unless something like an Omicron happens, which, you know, knock on wood, we're all through that or moving through that at the moment. So we will see, but I would plan on the May and the June meetings being in person. So if you could plan that, that would be great. I did want to give kudos to our co-chairs for their report that they gave to the commission in December. It was really well received. There were a lot of questions, and there were a lot of questions about the conversation went in the direction of induction and mentors. And that seemed to be a big focus of their interest. But you can listen to the conversation if you haven't already. It's on it's on the commission website under the December meeting for the commission. I don't remember if it was day 1 or day 2, but you click on the appropriate link and you can listen to it. So thank you very much, co-chairs. We really appreciate it. I just wanted to mention a couple things that we're all working on very hard, and then I'll ask my colleagues to say a couple of things. So as you know, there's been a big push by the governor to have universal TK. And so our staff has been working really hard because we know that that is going to increase the need for the numbers of new teachers. And so we are working with an early childhood panel to repurpose what we have, the early childhood education specialist credential, so that it's focused on PK3. So that work is happening right now, and we will be able to update you all on that, the progress of that work over the next few months. We have continued to work on the ed specialist standards. You know, we've adopted them. It seems like it's been forever now, and the programs have really been working hard to transition for next year, where all ed specialist programs are transitioning by July 1 or fall of next year. Kudos to our William, Patrick, and Sarah, who shepherded all the transition plans that the 100 and some odd programs had submitted, and we were able to review those and we'll be getting that feedback out. We're also working on the regulations. In fact, we have pretty much by early next week have to respond back to the Office of Administrative Law and all their questions about the new ed specialist credentials. So working really, really hard on that. We continue to work on the big overhaul of subject matter and basic skills, AB 130, that we've talked about before. That has been a huge workload. And David is working on the regulations that were revised at the last meeting by the commission. And so we are continuing to work on that. And then just another issue that you all may be interested in, and that is on assessment of literacy instruction. The RECA exam, we are looking at that again. There was a bill that was passed, SB 488, that requires us to develop a performance assessment in and around literacy instruction. And so that work is going to be starting up. We have an item that the commission will be discussing next week. So if you're interested in that topic, that item is available as well. Just two more things I wanted to mention. We have a new set of bilingual standards. Very exciting that the commission approved those standards. We're thrilled with that. We're now doing some work around that. The work group is still working on what they call PPQs. And then there's some work that we need to do around the regulations because we are now having to put all of our standards in regulations. So that is not work that we had done in the past, but that is work that we are continuing now. So after adoption of standards, then we need to make sure that they get in regulations. Otherwise, they are not enforceable. So we are working on doing all of that. We now have adopted PPS regulations. So the Office of Administrative Law did approve our regulations packet for the new standards around PPS. So a lot of progress, a lot of movement, and a lot of work. So I'm going to turn it over to Erin, I think, next to talk about anything that she wants to talk about with site visits and program review and common standards and all of that.
All that good stuff.
Uh-huh.
And just so that we're not remiss in giving all of our wonderful staff kudos with regard to the bilingual, just want to give both Miranda and Iore big kudos for shepherding that bilingual work through. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of work. It was a big lift. A lot of people interested. Obviously, it's a hot topic. So they did a really good job. Thank them for that.
And our committee member Forbes was a member of that work group.
Yes. We had great people on that work group. So operationally, just switching gears a little bit, operationally, program review for the Indigo cohort all came in last year. All of the programs have been reviewed. Yay. I want to give Hart and Roxanne and Cheyenne all great big thanks for helping with that. And in addition, this year, because we had SPED programs transitioning, programs in the Indigo cohort did not submit those plans for transition that Cheryl mentioned. They did submit to program review. And so in addition to running the review sessions for the plans for transition, William and Sarah also joined some SPED specific program review dates to help answer questions for the reviewers and calibrate them to the new SPED standards. So William and Sarah were very busy individuals this last fall. But the program review team was really grateful to have them there to work with the reviewers on those new SPED standards. So the reviews have been completed. And I just want to take this opportunity. The very first question we get every year, right after the first of the year, is from the institutions in whatever cohort has a site visit coming up. When do we get our program review feedback? We are working on getting that out and hope that it will go out sometime in February. Institutions, this is a normal timeline, even with COVID, where we still do not get program review feedback returned to institutions much before common standards are due. That's quite normal. Staff needs some time to just review all of that feedback and do some minor editing. We just like to make sure that anything that's there is appropriately tied to the standards and makes good sense before it goes out to the institution. So we have to look through the feedback for about 142, I think, programs. So staff is working hard on that, and that will go out soon. Excuse me. I mentioned common standards. Common standards submissions for the Indigo cohort are due February 28th. We've been having bi-weekly common standards technical assistance Q&A office hours sessions. Michelle Bernardo and I have been doing that. Programs have been coming, asking really good questions. Some folks just do I learned a new phrase from one gal, a lurk and listen. A lurk and learn, I think, is actually what she said. Just they come and listen to the conversations that are had. People share really good feedback with each other. Obviously, some folks that are working on common standards for their institutions have also been on site visits, sometimes team leads. So that's always a really nice piece of insight, I think, when somebody from an institution can talk about what they like to see as a site visit reviewer on common standards. So it's been really interesting to listen to that. The sessions for the review of those common standards submissions have already been scheduled, and site visit team leads and common standard reviewers for those site visits will come together with their site visit consultant during those sessions to review common standards. The sessions are mostly in March with a couple in early April. And then the feedback for Common Standards goes back much more quickly. That should go out before folks take off for summer break, hopefully sometime in May. Because Cheryl mentioned that we might be, that you should plan for the May and June COA visits to be in person, just want to let you know that the travel team, and if you may remember when you were working with these folks, that's Jamal and Terry and Eric. We're having conversations already about what hotel lodging things might look like for you all. We're investigating a couple of things. Because of the possibility, however small, of a last minute change on the part of the governor, getting a contract is kind of iffy. So we may have somebody here help you book your room so that you can stay within state rate, et cetera. So we've got some options. We will communicate those to you. So if you're thinking, my gosh, I haven't traveled in so long, I don't remember how to do it, we will make sure that we refresh everybody and support you so that it's not stressful for you. I think that is it, unless Cheryl, you think of something I maybe should have meant? No, great.
I don't think so.
Okay, in which case, should I pass it to Kara next or David?
Kara or David, either one of them. I think, we've had the budget issues and we have, Kara might want to talk a little bit about some of the grant issues.
Kara, do you want to go next? We'll let our director.
Good morning, everybody. So I gave an update last time around all the money we have to pass out to our friends in the field. And I just want to assure people that there are going to be multiple opportunities potentially to apply for our multiple grants. So for example, we have $350 million for teacher residency alone. And we understand that everyone is so stretched and perhaps LEAs aren't positioned at this moment to write to a teacher residency program. So with that said, we are really anticipating that we will have multiple rounds of RFAs released throughout each fiscal year until the $350 million are awarded. You can imagine that in the first round in 2018, there was $75 million earmarked for our teacher residency programs. And even in that time, we had money left over. So next week at the commission, I'll be talking about the fact that for teacher residency and classified, we will have at least 2 rounds of release of RFAs for folks to respond to until the funding runs out. So we will be keeping in communication with our LEA friends. The same goes for computer science. We have 15 million for computer science. And as long as we have money at the commission, we will be offering RFA competitions. So we request for applications. So we just wanted to make sure that our LEAs aren't stressing any more than they have to already around writing to a grant at this time. We encourage you. We know a lot of LEAs are positioned for that. And we just wanted to make sure that you understand that there will be multiple opportunities. And then on the heels of all the grants going out to LAs, we do have $2 million earmarked for our educator preparations programs to update some of their literacy and adding dyslexia into their courses. So those RFAs will be released shortly also. So I see we have questions. Imagine that. I think I saw COA member Hillis's hand go up first. We'll start with you.
Thanks. Yeah, just really quick on those teacher residencies. Are there going to be multiple RFAs for the capacity building as well?
Yes, we anticipate that. We'll be surprised if the 25 million, I think it is, goes out the door in this first round. But if there's, like I said, if there's still money left, there will be multiple opportunities for sure. Yep, you bet. And we'll be communicating that to the field and somehow, getting that information out on our website. Thank you. Committee member Leah.
Yeah, just heard you mention it quickly, though, the classified employee grant, which in our area has been incredibly effective on that, classified employee to credential teacher pipeline. So that's going to be coming out again soon, you said.
Yes, I'm anticipating maybe before the end of the month, but for sure the 1st of March, around the 1st of March. We're a little short-staffed here, so which is not an excuse. It's just the fact of the matter. So we're
everybody's short-staffed everywhere. It's not just education anymore.
Exactly. So I don't want to use that as an excuse. It's
for those of you that
here
saw
we are. It's the moment we're in.
Superintendent Thurman's presentation, he had an economist present the job market, and oh man, it's everywhere. Thank you.
So thank you. Committee member Larson.
Do you have an estimated date for when the teacher residency grant application might be available?
Indeed. So currently the capacity one is out and it is due on the 14th of February. The next one to be released is expansion. And we're hoping for the end of February, around the 1st of March. And then on the heels of that will be what we used to call regular teacher residency, but we're calling implementation, meaning, it's not you're not expanding a current program, you're kind of starting fresh. And that one hopefully will be released early spring. Yeah, we think that's going to be a little bit quicker on the heels of expansion because they're very similar in nature, the RFAs. So they're coming. Because, once they're released and you all do your work and hand them in, then we have to read them all. So it's a journey. It's good times. And we're so happy to have this opportunity to award grants to our friends in the field. Committee member Katrina.
Yeah, that's maybe an easier mnemonic, right? Think hurricanes. There's Katrina, and thanks, Katrina, right? Even though it ends with an E. So thanks, Kara. The residency is a topic near and dear to my heart as someone who helped assemble our district's first proposal for residency. So I guess my question is, based on your kind of bird's eye view, Kara, what's the percentage of the first generation of residency programs that are reapplying for continued funding? Do you have any sense of what that looks like at this point, or not?
We only have anecdotal, so we don't have any clear data on that. However, my gut is telling me probably half. I would say probably half.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I would say then, in light of our conversation about teacher shortages, particularly in these high demand areas, residency was at exactly the right time. Unfortunately, so was COVID, right?
Indeed.
Which kind of cut it off at the knees. But I'm just thinking, again, having stepped out of that coordinator role, knowing who's there in my own district, I think some of our colleagues might need some encouragement, some pressure, some coaching, you can do this, because if not, as the mantle is passed, some people would just kind of pass on an additional responsibility. So I don't know if that's something to think about, on your end. You don't have a lot of extra resources, but how can you kind of motivate people to recognize the imperative of this work for our state? I don't know.
Indeed. And when I was in the K-12 world, I heard often, hope is not a strategy. And I used to say, indeed, hope is not a strategy, but sometimes you really have to have hope in K-12 education to, show up every day. And so I know our friends in the field have a lot of hope around what's coming next. Better times are coming. And that's why I'm really encouraged by the fact that we're going to offer multiple RFA opportunities, requests for application opportunities, so that as we come out of COVID, as things improve, that there'll be opportunities for LEAs to apply for these grants. So I'm very hopeful.
And just one last comment on that too, Kara. Thank you for that. The flexibility, which makes your life that much more challenging, will net that many more proposals. It's kind of like my original comment about induction programs, right? When you have flexibility to pick up new teachers in October, it's harder for you as the program manager, but it's infinitely better for the teachers and their kids. So thank you for being flexible and accepting that additional burden. I get that.
We're happy to work hard for the greater good, for reals. So thank you.
Absolutely. And then we don't want to leave off David DeGear, our Professional Services Division Director. Thank goodness he's here. David, we have budget news for next year, but maybe some other things you want to talk about.
We do have budget news. I just wanted to emphasize one of the things that Cheryl said. Senate Bill 488, which is requiring us to develop a performance assessment for reading instruction. So it will replace the REAK exam. In addition to that, it really puts another new emphasis on effective reading instruction. So we need to review our program standards, our TPEs, to make sure that we are requiring everything that is needed for effective reading instruction. As for the budget, the governor's January 10 budget included additional investments, or at least proposed additional investments to improve the pipeline, and has proposed some additional positions for the commission to attract new teachers, for us to advertise about why teaching is a great field to get into, and to provide what I'm calling credentialed geniuses. So having some staff from our certification division who have been working for the commission for a while, who know all of the requirements, who will be available to work with individual candidates, with districts, to identify what the best pathway is for any candidate. And one of the things we've learned is that, because of all the flexibilities and different pathways, it is really complex for someone who wants to become a teacher, whether they are coming from high school and want to get into an integrated undergrad program, or if they are a career changer. There are so many options that we really need to provide more individual guidance and service so that we can grab those who are interested and help them build a pathway in. The trailer bill just was released yesterday afternoon, so we are going through that, but that looks to have some additional opportunities. It looks like there's some grants to build 2+2 programs between community colleges and four-year institutions. So we're excited to see what all is there and then start planning for implementing it.
Great. Well, that's all for our end. I do want to, before I leave the floor here, just remind you that Michelle Bernardo did provide you all with the what we used to call the green sheet, but the sheet that kind of gives you some guidance from the handbook about making decisions. We know you have a lot of decisions, and we're just getting into the accreditation season this spring, so you'll be using that chart a lot. But I wanted to just make sure you have gotten that. You should have that in your email, and that's straight from the accreditation handbook. And I don't know, Bob and I'm sorry, co-chairs Frelly and Martinez, did you want to say something about decision making and that before we get into that?
Sure. Yeah, I was going to mention that before we got into item 6.
Okay, great. I wasn't sure where you wanted to do that. Wonderful.
Yep, no worries.
I'm done.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for the great reports. I mean, as always, great information. It's stunning and rather staggering to know what goes on behind the scenes and the depth of it and the level of detail and how many fires you got cooking at once. But very exciting information all the way around. So thanks so much for sharing all of that. That's wonderful. So before we get to item 6, we do have the table of accreditation decisions and consequent institution activities. So that is placed before us. We look at this every time we are meeting in person. It used to be the green sheet, but now if you put it on blue, it's blue. If it's white, it's put on white, now it's your white sheet. But it's the same information that was presented there to us before. And that really gives us an option to go ahead and look at the different reports. So when the team presents their findings to us, they make the recommendations to the COA. And then it's up to us as a body to make a determination on those findings. So whether or not we accept the findings, whether or not we make a recommendation for maybe some adaptations to that. So we do have those options, and that usually is a result of some in-depth conversation. And so just want to remind everybody as we do that to not only have that sheet in front of you, but also be sure you look through the minutes not the minutes, pardon me, but the agenda that is posted on the CTC website under COA meetings, because that will have all the documents in there so that as we discuss the items, you can go through those and add your questions and your input, because it really is important information that we do. The programs go through an extensive amount of work to prepare this, and then the site team visits, they do their work, and the staff does their work, so it's multi-level, as you know. So when it comes to us, that's the opportunity to really delve into the program itself. So, but looking at the accreditation decisions, only the comment standards are addressed, not the program standards specifically. But we can go ahead and make the comments on both. So just keep that in mind as we go through here, so that we do give it the thorough reading that it deserves. Anybody have any questions or comments on that? Okay, seeing none, we do have a 9:30 time certain, but I think we can get through item 6. Do we have enough time, you think, for 6? Or should we? I don't want to keep people waiting.
Yes, please do 6, but also we need you also to do number 8 as well, because there is some folks there.
Okay, I noticed that as well.
So go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Sure. So item 6 is program approval recommendations. And for program approvals, the section is for an action. And there's one institution with one program for approval, and that's Biola University for a bilingual authorization in Spanish. Joining us today to answer any questions about the proposed program for Biola University is Dr. Carolina Serna, Associate Professor and Bilingual Authorization Director. Do we have any recusals on this item? All right, seeing none, Dr. Serna, would you like to make any comments about the proposed program?
No, thank you very much. I just, on behalf of Dean June Hetzel at our institution and my colleagues as well, we just want to thank every member of the committee for reviewing our bilingual authorization documents and providing very useful feedback. We welcome this opportunity to be able to offer a bilingual authorization in Spanish and hopefully in other languages in the near future. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Dr. Serna. Any member of the public wish to offer a comment?
No comments.
Great, thank you, Michelle. So seeing none, we then move on to committee. Any members of the committee have any questions for Dr. Serna? All right, seeing none, this is an action item. So is there a motion to approve the bilingual authorization Spanish program for Biola University? And just as a reminder, when you do make the motion, state the motion is entirely, and I see Member Tchaikovsky.
I move that we accept the proposal from Biola for Spanish.
All right, for the bilingual authorization, is there a second? Second by Member Forbes. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Jamaline Belatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Krisha.
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Serna. Yeah, and good luck with the program. Yep, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you. Cheryl, you had mentioned item 8. Did you mean item 7, or did I mishear you?
Let's do 7 and then 8, because I just remembered there is individuals for both.
Okay, great. Let's
you.
do number 7 then. Yeah, absolutely. Item 7 is a report of program status changes, and the item is divided into 2 parts. Part 1 includes items for action by the COA, which include requests to withdraw, requests to reactivate inactive programs, and or requests to add a new content area to an existing program. Part 2 provides information on programs that have transitioned to revised program standards and programs that have elected to change to inactive status. These items are for notification only and require no action by the COA. Part 1, Sections A, B, and C. There are no actions needed for Sections A and C today, but there's for Section B. There's one program requesting reactivation at this time. That's the Hacienda La Puente Unified School District Teacher Induction which upon action of the COA would be effective as of today, February 3rd, 2022. Joining us is consultant Gay Roby to provide us with some information on this request. We also have representatives from Hacienda La Puente Unified School District to answer any questions that you may have regarding the proposed program. Joining us are Joanna Chan, the Coordinator of Instructional Services, and Dr. Judy Fancher, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Assessment, and Instruction, Pre-K to 12. Ms. Roby, what can you share about this request?
Thank you very much for allowing me to share about a wonderful program of induction. Hacienda La Puente Unified School District has a long tradition of having an induction program, and for a short period of time has needed to back off of that commitment, but are ready to come back in and embrace all of the teachers in their district and in their local area, which is the closest induction program to my home, and have them come back into the fold. And we're very anxious to look forward to them with their participation, with their leadership. They have had a strong and deep commitment for many, many years. So I would endorse their activity to come back in as active participants.
Sorry, thank you, Ms. Roby. Any member of the institutions wish to go ahead and offer any comment?
Dr. Chan is on here too. I don't
Great,
know.
yes.
Oh,
Dr. Chan, would you wish to offer any comment?
This is Judy Fancher.
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Fancher.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear. I had a little interruption in my internet. Thank you very much, Gay, for your kind words. And I also want to thank Cheryl for her help with this. We are excited to be reactivating our program. We did need to back away before because of anticipated financial issues, which didn't come to fruition, gratefully enough. And so we are excited for all the reasons that the Commission has stated in your comments to support our teachers directly and to provide them the support they need to continue in the profession. So thank you for your consideration.
Great, thank you, Dr. Fancher. Dr. Chan, any comment you wish to offer?
I just want to thank Ms. Cheryl Hickey, Michelle Bernardo, and Karen Sacramento for working with us since March 2020, and Gay Roby for supporting us during the accreditation site visit in 2018. We're just very excited to have our Hacienda La Puente teacher induction single district. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Chan. Opportunity for the committee members to offer any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, any member of the public wish to offer a comment?
No comment, Bob.
All right, thank you, Michelle. So this is an action item, and I should have asked earlier, are there any recusals for the item? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion? Member Tchaikovsky.
I move that we reactivate the induction program at Hacienda La Puente.
All right, thank you. And is there a second? Second by Member Larson. Ms. Bernardo, will you please call the roll?
Jamaline Bolatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Grisha.
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Ellis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. So congratulations, Dr. Chan and Dr. Fancher. Thank you so much for joining us. You look excited, and you should be. We're looking forward to it. Thank you. Moving on to Part 2, Sections D and E. These sections are for notification purposes only, and no action is required. Section D relates to programs transitioning, and there are no programs requesting to transition at this time. Section E deals with programs moving to inactive status. This is also for notification only, does not require any action. And there is one program sponsor moving 2 programs to inactive status. Azusa Pacific University, Teacher Librarian effective March 1st, 2022, and Teacher Librarian Special class authorization effective March 1st, 2022. So that concludes item 7. We're now on to item 8. Item 8 is initial program approval for new program sponsors. We have no new programs by new program sponsors for review and approval at this time. Quick and easy. So now we move on to, should we do item 10, Cheryl?
Let's
here?
see. Yeah, we can definitely go to number 10. Yes. And I just wanted to also just say that the times there are, we've told everybody their estimates. So if you need more time to talk about an item, you need more time to talk about an item. So
Sure.
everybody, these time certains are really not certain. They're suggestions and, you know, a way for us to not take up everybody's time all day long if they're giving a presentation. But I just wanted you to have the freedom to talk through as long as you need to talk through.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for the reminder. Ms. Bernardo, would you need time on item 9, or would you advise we go straight to 10 since you have item 9?
10 is fine. We can come back to 9.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do item 10 then. Item 10 is the report of the accreditation team to Murrieta Valley Unified School District. Consultant Bob Locks will introduce this item, and joining him today is team lead Stacy Tysor. Did I get that correctly? Hopefully.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Great, thanks. And institutional representatives, Sean McCarthy, Induction Program Director, and Jill Bushhausen, Coordinator for Elementary LPAC and Induction. And I'm sorry, Jill, did I get your name correctly as well? Okay, great, thank you. Does anyone need to recuse himself? All right, seeing none, Mr. Locks, will you please begin?
Yes, thank you. The site visit to Murrieta Valley Unified School District was held October 11th through 13, 2021, and all virtually. There were no other unusual circumstances, and the team felt that they had a full understanding of all the induction program that Murrieta Valley offers. This institution has a very strong mentoring community and appears extremely responsive to its candidates' needs. They are continuously discussing their program with their constituents and using their feedback for program improvement. Team lead Stacy Kaiser will now review the recommendations of the site visit team.
Thank you. The Murrieta Valley Unified School District Induction Program embodies their vision, inspiring teachers to make inquiry the basis of fostering reflective practice and driving ongoing professional learning. Their individual learning plan focuses around inquiry and action research and is job embedded and based on the teacher's needs. Completers of the program shared that they continue to build on what they've learned from their individual learning plan, and it has served as a foundation for them to become lifelong learners. Program leadership is provided by the Induction Program Director, District Staff Development Coordinator, and Induction Program District English Learners Coordinator. During interviews, every stakeholder group indicated that program leadership is open to feedback and is responsive to the needs of candidates and mentors. One candidate said that the program leadership is perfect for this job because they are so warm and welcoming and they want you to succeed. At the heart of the Murrieta Valley Induction Program are the mentors. Mentors receive professional learning around cognitive coaching, universal design for learning, and culturally responsive teaching, which not only helps support the candidates, but informs the mentor's own teaching practice. The mentors provide just-in-time coaching, help in developing skills, and developing and completing the individual learning plan. Candidates share how the mentors listened, remembered details, and followed up each week. As one candidate put it, the support they received from their mentor was priceless. The program has a robust professional learning that is based on the teacher's inquiry and needs, and it includes both asynchronous and synchronous sessions. If there is a need for a professional learning session, program leadership will develop it or find someone who can offer the session. Based on this and the review of data, documentation, and interviews, the team found all common standards met and all program standards met. The team recommends full accreditation for the Murrieta Valley School District Induction Program.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tizer. Appreciate that. We now offer an opportunity for institutional representatives to offer any comment. Remember, mind you, it's not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather provide any thoughts that you had about the visit itself.
Well, I would just like to thank the team, Bob and Stacy, and for their support, from the very beginning throughout the process. And I would just like to also say, while I didn't love going through accreditation, obviously, I just have to say that I truly do appreciate it. I think about my experience, as a novice teacher back in '89. And the lack of mentoring I received, and then becoming a mentor way back in '96 and a program director 10 years ago. The way this, CTC has designed this process and the commission has supported this, I just truly do love, I have to admit, the way this has pushed us to refine and improve our program. And it's even pushed our district to be better in so many of our practices. So I do have to admit, while I didn't love the idea of going through accreditation, in reflecting on what this has done for us as a program to improve teaching and learning and support our students, this is really remarkable as I reflect back to where we used to be and where we are now. It does push us to be better, and it makes us practice what we preach to our candidates in terms of that reflective cycle. So kudos to you for designing a really strong system that moves us forward in a powerful way. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCarthy. I mean, we always appreciate comments from those in the field as far as their perspective on things. And assessment can be one of those words that nobody really wants to listen to. Mm-hmm. But it's something, you described it perfectly. It's something that's so effective, and it gives an opportunity for reflection to ensure that we practice what we preach. And it just always makes the whole process makes programs better. And so thank you very much for your comments. We do appreciate those. Anyone else wish to make any comment from the institution? Okay, I'm seeing none. Any member of the public wish to offer any comment?
No comments, Phil.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from committee members? Member Larson.
I just wanted to commend the district on this program. Reading through the report, it's a very robust and highly organized program with input from so many important stakeholders. I was just impressed by the scope of the program and by all of the positive comments from those who participate in the program. So congratulations on such a fabulous program.
Thank you, Member Larson. Anyone else wish to make a comment or have a question? All right, seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion by committee member? Other than Member Tchaikovsky. Co-Chair Martinez.
I move that we move to approve the report of the accreditation team to Murrieta Valley with accreditation, the finding of accreditation.
Thank you, Co-Chair Martinez. There's a second. Second by Member Tchaikovsky.
Hey.
All right, any further discussion? All right, seeing none, will the Secretary, Ms. Bernardo, please call the roll?
Jomaline Bolatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Krisha.
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes. Cheryl.
Sorry, aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations for your hard work. It's obviously put a lot of thought in the process and that it does work. So thank you very much. Do appreciate it. So congratulations. Yeah, absolutely. Ms. Tizer, Ms. Bushhausen, Mr. McCarthy, and Mr. Locks. Thank you all.
Thank you.
We do have a 9:45. I'm going to recommend we take a quick bio break. Can we do one is 5 minutes okay? Because we do have a number of them backed up one after another. So let's take a 5-minute stretch break and let's reconvene. How about at 9:50? 9:50.
Bob, can I ask, just so I can let the representatives know, will you go back to item 9 when we come back?
Does item 9 require presence of individuals
No.
joining us?
So we'll move on to the next item.
I think we should, and then as time allows, we can come back to item 9. Ms.
Thank
Bernardo,
you.
does that work? Does that work for you?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you at 9:50. Thank you. Okay, it looks like we are all back. So we're going to reconvene the meeting. And we're on to item 11. Item 11, everybody. It's the report of the accreditation team to Sacramento City Unified School District. Consultants Poonam Beatty, I will introduce this item, and joining her today is team lead Julie Sheldon and institutional representatives Kelly Dunkley, induction coordinator, and Eric Hansen, assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction. And there are 2 items posted on this, the item itself, and then there's also an attachment. So as you look through that website, you'll find there are 2 separate links, so just be aware of that. All right, having said that, anyone need to recuse himself? Co-Chair Martinez. Is there anyone else? All right, seeing none, Ms. Beatty, will you please begin?
Thank you. Good morning, committee members. Item 11 presents the report of the accreditation team to the Sacramento City Unified School District. This site visit occurred October 25th through the 27th of last year. In reflecting on this visit, I would like to thank Sac City, in particular Kelly, for diligently addressing any documentation requests and requests for additional interviews from the team. Also, the open-mindedness by which district leadership and truly all stakeholder groups viewed the site visit and the honesty in the responses heard through interviews was really appreciated by the team. I also would like to thank the site visit team themselves for their flexibility and for the time that they dedicated to the visit. In particular, I'm grateful for our veteran team lead, Julie Sheldon, who helped navigate the team through this visit. And also during the visit, I just want to briefly mention there were 2 teacher induction preconditions that were found to be not in compliance. So we're actually going to discuss these preconditions in a little bit more detail after Julie provides an overview of the report and the team's findings. So with that, I'd actually like to turn this part of the presentation over to Julie.
All right, thank you, Poonam. And I would like to echo the thanks to the Sac City leadership, in particular Kelly and Aaron, for their work to make sure that the site visit ran smoothly, response to any requests that we had, and again, their open, honest conversations and reflections on the program and ways that they can improve in the future. So we saw a lot of strengths. The team saw a lot of strengths in the Sac City program, particularly that Kelly works very hard not only to cover the induction program and all other preparation programs, but to communicate with mentors and site administrators consistently. And interviews with site administrators reflected that. They all remarked on her quick response. Administrators across the district also spoke of how the support of new teachers was a high priority in their district and of their desire to work with Kelly to better integrate the core values of the district into that support for the teachers and the students in their district. The mentors we interviewed were very dedicated to supporting the new teachers, and the candidates expressed their support, their gratefulness for that support. Site administrators also showed their support for the program and for those teachers by using site funds and staff to give as much additional support as possible to candidates in their goal areas and to provide sources of professional development for them. Honest, open responses were provided during the interviews, and it showed the commitment of all the stakeholders to the betterment of the program. However, the team found that the induction program was somewhat siloed in the district's organization, which resulted in several themes that have had a limiting effect on how the program is able to meet the standards. The first of which is there is a lack of involvement with relevant stakeholders beyond the induction coordinator in the coordination and decision-making for the program, resulting in some inconsistencies in meeting the standards. At the time of the visit, there was no consistent system in place to identify all teachers who qualified for induction, resulting in some delays of their mentor matches and support. Another was the lack of a consistent, transparent system to document and assess candidate competency and communicate their progress to the candidates. Finally, there was no evaluation system in place for assessment of mentor effectiveness. And so each of these areas have had a limiting effect on the program leadership's ability to gather evidence of program effectiveness and candidate competency, which in turn limits continuous program improvement. So the team found that all general preconditions have been determined to be met, but out of the 6 teacher induction preconditions, 2 were found not to be in compliance. Precondition 2 and precondition 5 were not yet met. And the program standards, teacher induction program standards 1 through 4 were found to be met. Teacher induction program standards 5 and 6 were found to be met with concerns. In the common standards, common standard 3 was found to be met. Common standards 1, 2, 4, and 5 were found to be met with concerns. And so Poonam will share the information on the addendum about preconditions. Oh, I'm sorry. For that, the team made the decision to recommend stipulations because the unit and program leadership had communicated to the team in several interviews that they wanted more communication and collaboration together. The induction program is viewed as a valuable part of the overall vision of the district, but because of recent leadership changes, there hasn't yet had the opportunity to do this in a meaningful way. The integration of the induction program into the larger district organization will hopefully lead to greater opportunities for program improvement, guided by the stipulations and communication across the district departments and induction, but ultimately to consistency in the support for new teachers and their students. And I welcome any questions, but also for Poonam to share what the program has given us as updates for those preconditions.
Great, thank you, Michelle. Yep, go ahead, Ms. Beatty.
So just want to take a moment just to walk through the preconditions and Sac City's responses to them. So as Co-Chair Farley pointed out earlier, there is that link underneath the link to the site visit report. So that link is labeled attachment. So since the site visit, we've been working with Sac City in regards to addressing these preconditions. So within that attachment, if you open it up, you'll see that there is a link to the full response provided by Sac City on the first page of that attachment item. And then it's scrolling down across pages 2 to 3. You will see the precondition, each of the preconditions that were not met listed. Underneath the preconditions, the finding, and then underneath the finding, a summary of Sac City's responses. So we'll just start with the first precondition listed there on page 2, which is teacher induction precondition number 2. This is specifically to the way in which induction programs identify and assign mentors within the first 30 days of a participant's enrollment. So the team found that candidates were not being matched within 30 days of enrollment, and there really is not a systematic process in place to identify new teachers that were in need of induction services. So in response to this precondition, now induction program staff are CC'd in the emails that are sent by the Human Resources Department to new teachers. And then program staff subsequently follow up with these new teachers to enroll them in induction. And there is ongoing collaboration between the induction program and the Human Resources Department that's expected to better align the process as this process continues to be examined. And then if we look down to teacher induction precondition 5, this one is specific to the ILP being used only for professional growth and not for evaluation purposes. So during the site visit, the team became aware that there were some administrators that were indeed using the ILP as a metric when conducting evaluation of their new teachers. So in response to this, the triad meeting language has language that's taken out from this precondition, and mentors review the purpose of the ILP, and they review this language when conducting or when helping to facilitate the triad meetings. In addition, site administrators have been informed of the fact that ILPs, or rather reminded of the fact that ILPs are solely used for the professional growth and development of new teachers through communication that they received from the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction, who is on the call with us today. And now that we've talked through site visit report and the responses to the precondition, I'm just going to kick it back to Julie to go over the team's recommendation, and then we'll conclude from there.
Okay, thank you. As I said, we are recommending stipulations, accreditation with stipulations, and that the program will submit reports on the standards at 6 months and 1 year.
Okay, thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Ms. Beatty. We now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. Remind you it's not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather provide any thoughts that you had about the visit itself.
Thank you all, and thank you to Julie and Poonam in particular for all of your insight and support as we went through this process. And I'm Erin Hansen, I apologize, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction with Sac City Unified. We also have Kelly Dunkley here today, who is our induction coordinator. I first just want to express our gratitude to our team and to all of you here today for listening to and considering the recommendations that are being put forth. We found this experience extremely valuable. And, you know, as Poonam said, there has been a lot of leadership transition in Sac City. We've also been engaged in a number of analyses with various governing bodies about all kinds of work that we're doing here. So including a recent systemic instructional review with the California Consortium for Educational Excellence. And what we found throughout this visit with Julie and Poonam's recommendations and findings is that it's really in alignment with the things that we need to do across our district. For example, the need to de-silo our induction program is echoed throughout our district in the areas of needing to de-silo our academic office and our special education department, for example, that we need to bring those into alignment to be able to better work to serve our students. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about what we intend to do with the findings and recommendations that we've received from our team. We have begun to work on a strategic plan that Kelly has started, and that we are going to be engaging with various departments in our district to be able to address the recommendations. In particular, I would say the pieces, the themes that Julie shared around integration and coherence with all of our departments, engaging more stakeholders. So, for example, prior to this process, there wasn't a lot of engagement with our induction program with even other members of our curriculum and instruction department. So really, how do we engage with our content leaders, our instructional leaders to be able to provide, design and provide further professional learning? So an example of how we're working to do that is that Kelly is working very closely with our science coordinator and working to provide some really strong professional learning around universal design for learning for our mentor teachers and our new teachers. We also really found it helpful to hear from the team, and it was something that we knew and really needed to hear and understand, is that we really need a system in place to monitor the competency of our candidates as well as the effectiveness of our mentors. And so part of our strategic plan moving forward will be to design and implement a measuring system for us to be able to do that, so that we can then use our knowledge about improvement work to be able to implement change ideas and work through continuous improvement, so that we are building teachers who are ready for professional practice, and that we have mentors who are really engaged and committed to them, and that all of that work is truly aligned with our district priorities. So in closing, I just want to again reiterate our gratitude. Like our colleagues from Murrieta School District said, nobody looks forward to going through an accreditation process. I was a former principal for an IB school, and so I've been through quite a bit of evaluations and authorization visits, and they always create some anxiety, but we always learn a lot from them. And so I'm incredibly grateful for the structure that's provided by CTC, and that we are able to learn and grow. And we're looking forward to our ongoing partnership and engaging with other school districts. For example, Murrieta, which I just heard, has a wonderful induction program. So we look forward to learning from our colleagues through this process as well. Thank you.
And I'd like to just thank Poonam and Julie for the amazing support that they provided as we went through this process, and particularly Poonam, because she's been with me on this process. I think it's been about 2 years now since we first met. So thank you very much. And we appreciate the feedback and having the opportunity to continue to reflect on our practices and continue to grow.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dunkley, and also Ms. Hanson, for your comments. Are there any members of the public who wish to offer any comment? Seeing none, are there questions or comments from the committee members? Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your analysis and experiences going through this process. I was involved in leading an induction program in Southern California. So my question is informed kind of by one of the issues, which is identifying teachers who need induction support in a timely manner. And I understand that one of your proposed changes is to loop the induction program in through HR via email. Like when new teachers get email notices, I understand you're going to copy someone in induction. So my question is, do you enroll candidates in your program throughout the year, or do you only enroll them within a certain window? Because it seems to me like that might be important in terms of how effectively and quickly you provide the support that new teachers need. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrine, for that question. So I'll let Kelly jump in a minute, but I did want to add one thing to that. So we have already implemented the system where HR is looping in induction as new teachers come into our system. And so, yes, we absolutely enroll new teachers throughout the year. There isn't just 1 or 2 points in the year where we are enrolling new teachers into induction. The other piece of that, and I realize I didn't, also respond to the preconditions, but as far as ensuring that our new teachers are receiving that support from the very beginning, our district has just moved over to a new sort of business process monitoring system called Informed K-12. And we are putting all of our business processes into that system. And there are, if you haven't used it before, there are checkpoints along the way, and it gets moved to certain people. And so Kelly is going to be working with the manager of that program and with HR so that we have an internal business process for ensuring that our new teachers have access to induction immediately. And then Kelly and her team will be following up throughout that process with the new teacher, with the site administrator, with mentors to ensure that we are creating that partnership as soon as we possibly can.
Thank you. I would just have to commend you for what you just said, because there are programs that have, very fixed windows of enrollment. New teachers then are kind of left to fend for themselves until the program catches up with them. So good on you for, just in time support is exactly what our colleagues need right now. So thank you for that. And that sounds like a really useful management tool for such a large district like yours and ours.
Thank you.
Yes, we enroll quarterly. So every quarter of whenever we have new hires, we get them enrolled. If we get too far into the quarter and they come in more than halfway through the quarter, when the quarter has started, we will enroll them and have them start at the beginning of the next quarter and get them assigned. So that because as you know, in the past, we used to have the November cutoff, and we'd wait till the following year to get them enrolled. So this has proved to be getting new teacher support much quicker.
Great, thank you. Any other committee member wish to offer a comment or have any questions at this point? Member Taylor.
Thank you. A comment and a question. To the point that Member Tchaikovsky made earlier today, this is a critical time for induction programs because we have teachers going out there that were trained during the pandemic and now are teaching in the classroom. And boy, do they need support. So also to add on to that comment, I was impressed looking at the added document there, the progress that's already been made. My question is to the CTC consultants, and looking at the green sheet, which is white because I printed it out. Looking at the green sheet in the report, it looks like there are a total of 6 standards across common and program standards met with concerns. So I'm surprised to see it being recommended with stipulations rather than with major stipulations. And should the COA really be looking for major stipulations rather than recommending accreditation with stipulations?
Okay, I'm happy to answer that.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
There are actually 4 common standards that are met with concerns, and not 6. So the chart that we refer to only has common standards. So it does not include the plethora of program standards that could exist, because that just we weren't able to do that in the chart form. So it's 4 common standards met with concerns from what I can tell, and then 2 program standards that are met with concerns. So it sort of falls into that gray area, or the area that basically, if you're looking at the chart, and remember, these are not met, they're met with concerns. 3 to 4 really range, there's quite a range depending on what the COA would like to do, between with stipulations, with major, and even possibly probationary, as the chart says. But yeah, it's entirely up to the COA based on the information you have.
I would also just offer, if I can, Cheryl, that committee member Taylor, the question that you ask is a valid one. It's actually better posed to the team lead who conducted and oversaw the deliberations of the team than to the consultant. So I wonder, Julie, if you might want to address that question.
Absolutely. And I do want to assure that the COA that this was discussed at length between members of the CTC, the team. We talked through the decision, and the two things that really impacted our decision were, one, that many of the changes that we were seeing need to be made were already being brought up as planned changes in the interviews. So the need for the district to be more involved, because of the change in leadership, they just hadn't had a chance to put it in place. But across the interviews with stakeholders was that desire to bring induction much more into the district organization and have more involvement with stakeholders. So that was, and that support was across the district leadership. Another thing that we looked at is we looked at each standard. The entire standard didn't have inconsistencies. There were just parts that had inconsistencies, and they fell within those themes of involvement of other stakeholders. And so we felt that as a team, that as we looked at those themes that I talked about, that a few things could actually change many of the things across those standards because they crossed each other. The involvement of stakeholders, the district being more involved in the organization and having more voice in decision-making and collaboration. And then also just really more support for Kelly, because a lot of those consistencies came from Kelly doing all of these things by herself. And so that really fell under, I think, where our site visit came as a part of their movement, right? At that moment of where they were moving towards meeting those standards. We did not meet any resistance, and there was really wholehearted acceptance of the need for this improvement. And so that's where we landed on that decision.
Thank you, Michelle. Then let's, Ms. Hanson, would you like to comment? And then we'll move on to the committee members' comments. I see Member Tchaikovsky, Member Forbes.
I would. Thank you very much. And Julie, I appreciate that explanation, and Member Taylor, the question as well. We are, we don't know the ins and outs of this. So this conversation is really interesting for us to be a part of today. I did just want to add one thing in terms of Julie's comment about the changes that we have already been talking about, and how those align with what the findings were. I arrived in this position in late August, just as we were getting ready to go through this accreditation process. And part of what I have been charged with in taking over the leadership of our curriculum and instruction department is to de-silo the entire department and really come into greater coherence across our system, particularly in the area of professional learning and development. And so part of that effort absolutely involves our new teacher induction program, but it also involves how we are going to train and support all of the educators in our system. So from our superintendent all the way down to our teachers, around some common themes around multi-tiered systems of support, universal design for learning, culturally responsive teaching and learning, all of those categories. And how are we really ensuring that everything we do is in alignment? And so, as we were having these conversations with Julie and Poonam, we were sharing that, we have this vision, but when our visit came in October, it's still, in the sort of infancy stages of how we really change how we train and teach and coach the adults in our system to build their capacity to support the students in our system. And the new teacher induction program is absolutely part of that. And one last little thing to add to that is that we've also were granted the educator effectiveness block grant for the next 5 years. And one of the things that we've built into that is some additional supports for induction, for new teacher recruitment, for teacher residency programs, teacher intern programs, and administrator coaching and development in the form of community partnerships, in the form of another person in our department to lead teacher or educator and leadership development, and to work closely with Kelly and me and the stakeholders in our district to be able to really address the themes that came up. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to that. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Hanson. Member Forbes.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate a lot of the detail that we've been hearing in this report and that we were able to read in the report itself, as well as the attachment. Initially, I was concerned about the preconditions not having been met. And often that would be, much more serious. And so it's a great sign that, those were addressed so quickly and thoroughly. I'm still concerned, however, about the timelines that are recommended by the team. So I'm reading, I want to be sure I'm understanding correctly. So I'm reading that, the findings need to be addressed within 1 year with it looks like a 6-month out report. And I'm just wondering about the timeline, because I think, having seen how important it was to keep in touch with institutions with as many standards not fully met over maybe a 90-day time increment. I was curious about that because it seems a little bit, it doesn't seem like that we're going to hear anything soon enough to allay some of the concerns that I have. I understand that there's a lot planned, but, in terms of verifying the implementation of those plans, it seemed to me a shorter timeline might be beneficial. So I guess this is the question for the team lead. Am I understanding correctly that you recommended a 6-month report?
We did recommend a 6-month report, but I absolutely agree that the communication needs to be consistent, and that updates on meeting those standards fully open, and happy to have the COA's recommendation on those check-ins as we go through the process.
So if I can just follow up, thank you very much, Ms. Sheldon. So it seems like it's been an important place for the committee to be able to also provide some guidance or resources to have these incremental reports, every 90 days, for example, quarterly. I think that's quarterly. So that would address Member Taylor's comment that if that were the case, from reading our guideline document, it looks like that would be in the area of major stipulations to require a 90-day report. So that's sort of where I'm considering options for amending the recommendation for accreditation with stipulations.
Thank you, Member Forbes. Let's hold on to that as being a formal recommendation just yet. Let's hear what Member Tchaikovsky has and any other discussion regarding this item, and then we'll move on to that. But thank you for your comments. Member Tchaikovsky.
Thank you. Cheryl, I was going to say some of the same things that you just presented. And for the same reasons, I think Ms. Hanson has outlined a number of very strong planned steps forward. Obviously, you recognize the imperative of having sufficient human resources to lead this work in a district your size, and you have a vision and a charge of working systematically across your department. But I do think the important thing that Member Forbes said is that feedback from us and having the imperative of delivering evidence of these changes at shorter time intervals will spur the types of changes that are necessary to be in alignment with these standards. So I would support Member Forbes's proposal that major stipulations be assigned to this, with the ultimate outcome not being to communicate any type of degradation of the report or the visit or the status of the program, but instead to provide for more fruitful engagement of program leaders with experts and feedback that can really bolster changes moving forward and lay a foundation that can be built upon in the future.
Thank you, Member Tchaikovsky, and I appreciate how you framed the conversation or your comment there in a positive site, right? Definitely have a positive slant to that. Any other committee member wish to have a question, a comment, join in this conversation specifically, or anything else you'd like to comment on? Oh, I'm sorry, Member Lee.
Just to follow up with Member Tchaikovsky on that, it really, as some of you may know and remember, that I went through a similar process a couple of years ago, and it really was beneficial to have that ongoing connection and communication with the commission, not only for the support I received from my liaison from the CTC, but more importantly, it spurred some really positive internal dialogues within our system to make some really fantastic changes in our program. So it should be viewed as a positive thing, as professional learning. And obviously there's always this hesitancy to heap more on plates of people, especially during this, this pandemic and what districts are dealing with. However, I feel that it really is a resource to put in place and not necessarily a punitive measure.
I'm sorry, I missed the last thing you said. A resource and not, did I miss?
It's not punitive, it's a resource.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Member Lee. Very well stated. Any other committee member wish to make a comment? All right, seeing
Chair
none,
Fraley?
this is an action. Yes.
If I may, before the committee takes action, I just wanted to add in a consideration.
Sure.
Okay,
Please
thank
do.
you. So it is absolutely within the COA's authority to change the accreditation decision as they see fit, and also to add or remove stipulations. One thing to kind of consider is if the COA decides to move to asking or to establishing quarterly reports, that perhaps we also ensure that there's information received on the preconditions that were unmet within the quarterly reports themselves, just to ensure continued compliance.
Thank you. That's an important distinction. Thank you, Ms. Beatty. Any other committee member or staff or a member of the team wish to make any comment? All right, seeing none, this is an action item. So is there a motion by any of the committee members? Member Forbes.
I move that we amend the recommendation of accreditation with stipulations to accreditation with major stipulations, with a quarterly report that also includes progress on the preconditions, on meeting the preconditions that were identified. Period. I think that's the motion.
I think that covers a motion. Is there?
And this is for the Sacramento City Office of Education, right? Wait a minute. I think I need to say the name of the report, right?
Yeah.
Sacramento City Unified School District.
City Unified School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right, is there a second? Second by Member Tchaikovsky. Any further discussion? All right, well, Ms. Bernardo, will you please call the roll?
Romaline Bolatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Gracia.
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. So thank you very much for the discussion. I do hope that Ms. Hanson and Ms. Dunkley, that you view this as a positive, because it really is an opportunity for continued growth, as you've already made some growth and demonstrated that, and it's just a way of having an opportunity to reach out to the CTC staff, which we encourage to do, and help support you through the process to ensure that you get the support that you need in moving forward to have the program as you wish to have it long term. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Thank you also, Ms. Sheldon, and thank you, as always, Ms. Beatty. All right, we are running just a little bit on the behind time, but I think we are okay as far as moving on. Cheryl, in item 10, should we do Fortune?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, 12, excuse me, item 12, which was the 10 o'clock time certain, so it's item 12. Yep, it's the report of the provisional site visit to Fortune School. Consultant Dr. Sarah Solari Colombini will introduce the item. She's joined by team lead Dr. Cynthia Grzeck and institutional representatives Dr. Margaret Fortune, President, CEO, Bonnie Benson, CFO, Michelle Grace, COO, Dr. Hawk Nato, Dean, Vendetta Brown, Program Director, and Jennifer Pierce, Credential Analyst and Registrar. Does anyone need to recuse himself? Seeing none, Mrs. Lawyer, will you please begin?
Certainly, thank you. So good morning, committee members. On November 14th through the 17th of 2021, a virtual provisional site visit was held with Fortune School. Fortune School is the commission-approved program sponsor for Fortune School of Education. The Fortune School of Education is no stranger to teacher preparation. It was originally established in 1989 as Project Pipeline by Dr. Rex Fortune. What has carried through since its establishment is the commitment to bringing more diverse teacher candidates into the workforce. This visit followed normal protocols for our virtual visits. I would like to thank our team members and our team lead, Cynthia Grzeck, for their focused efforts during this site visit to review the evidence on the institution's accreditation website and gather more information via interviews. Fortune School completed stage 3 of the initial institutional approval process and received provisional approval in June of 2017 at the commission meeting. It operates a preliminary administrative services credential program, an education specialist mild to moderate disabilities credential program, and a multiple and single subject credential program. These are intern programs. To assist the institution in preparing for their site visit as a requirement of stage 5 of the IIA process, CTC staff began working with Fortune School in December of 2020. As Fortune received its program review feedback and common standards review feedback, staff worked with the institution to ensure that an addendum was created and posted to its accreditation website for the provisional site visit team to review. After a comprehensive review of data and evidence and interviews, the team came to consensus on findings and has made a recommendation of accreditation. I will now hand it over to the team lead, Cynthia, to share the team's findings and some of the highlights of the site visit. I would like to also thank Dr. Hawk Neto, who's always available and very responsive. So with that, Cynthia.
Good morning, everyone. And it's great to see you all and to see familiar faces, both from Fortune School and from the Committee on Accreditation. Dr. Fortune, Dean Neto, and members of the Fortune School team, and members of the COA and Chair Frelly. My name is Cynthia Grzeck, and I served as the team lead for the site visit to the Fortune School of Education. I'm glad to be here to share our team's findings with you. You have our report, so I'll share an overview and some highlights. As Sarah said, our site visit conducted virtually went very well. We felt that we saw everything we needed to see and spoke with everyone who could help us tell the story of Fortune School. Throughout the visit, Dr. Neto was available to facilitate our work and to help deepen our understanding, and I have to say that's true of everyone that we spoke with.
First, let me state that our unanimous recommendation is accreditation for the Fortune School of Education based on our findings that standards for the multiple and single subject credentials, the preliminary ed specialist credentials were all met, and all standards for the preliminary administrative services credential were met with the exception of standard 2, which was met with concerns. The team's deliberations were thorough, and our findings are based on lots of evidence, which you see listed in the report. I want to highlight the strengths that became evident to us during the visit. At every level, interviewees talked about the willingness of Fortune School leaders to listen to feedback and to make changes accordingly. There's a culture of openness and interaction across the organization that was apparent in our interviews and that was commented upon by those we interviewed. Responsiveness and care were described as hallmarks of the organization. Their candidates noted the timely and useful feedback they consistently receive and the availability of instructors, supervisors, and advisors. We also heard from many people about the culture of collaboration in this organization and that relationships are what allow the important work to get done. And finally, and really first in importance, it became clear to the team that these credential programs are part of a larger vision to create a school system that grows its own expert professionals, that turns around the lives of students, especially those who've been underserved by schools, that flips the typical narrative around what's possible, and that perpetuates the work by sending educators into other public schools where they can replicate what Fortune schools have learned how to do, close and then eliminate the achievement gap for students of color and especially for African American students. I want to thank our site visit team, Alan Hallis, Patricia Pernin, Kitty Fortner, and our wonderful consultant, Sarah Solari. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Grzeck. We now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you it's not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather provide any thoughts that you have about the visit itself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Neto, the dean. I just want to thank Cindy and the entire group, the entire team, for the detailed feedback. And I saw your work as you saw ours, and it was very important. I also want to say thank you to Sarah for your patience. It was like over a year of work, and as soon as I sent an email, you got back to me. Thank you for your time and patience with my many questions, and I really appreciate it. I just want to say that going through this entire process, it really made our team stronger and also our programs more focused on continuous improvement system that we have developed. And looking back at the last time we are here with this team, I also want to say thank you to Terry Clark, who is no longer here. But after that visit, Terry and Cheryl met with us and really gave us some tips on how to embrace this continuous improvement and how to stay aligned with CTC activities and standards. So thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you, Dr. Neto. Any other member of the team wish to make any comment from Fortune? Okay, seeing none, any member of the public wish to offer a comment?
No public comments, Bob.
Thank you, Michelle. So this is an action item, but do we have any comments or questions from members of the committee? Member Larson.
I just wanted to quickly mention a couple of things that stood out to me from this program that I think are things that other programs need to consider. The orientation at the beginning of the program, I think, is key, just to get all of your candidates on board and understanding how the program is going to work and getting everyone on the same page, I think, is critical. So I was really pleased to see that. And the variety of observations as well was an interesting component, and I thought that was a strength of this program as well. So congratulations.
Thank you, Member Larson. Member Tchaikovsky.
Hi. So like Member Larson, I would commend the Fortune School for the innovation and the clear sense of purpose and mission that's attached to your institution. I think our visiting team lead did a really nice job of presenting some of those most important philosophical and practical charges, not least today. So it's exciting to see Fortune School launch its work in all these different facets. And I'd be interested in keeping an eye on graduates and their impact following completion of this program. I suspect there will be stories to be told. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Tchaikovsky. Any other member of the committee wish to offer any comments? I would just like to say that the report was extremely in-depth, and it really does reflect what our committee members have mentioned thus far as the quality of the program, the future of the program, and I think it is definitely one to be looking for in the future. So we really do appreciate the details and the level of quality within. So this is an action item. Is there a member who wishes to offer a motion? I see Member Forbes, your hand up.
I move that we accept the recommendation of the team for accreditation for the Fortune School, Graduate School of Education.
All right, thank you. And is there a second? Member Taylor, I did see your hand up for the motion. Do you want a second? All right, so yes. Seconded by Member Taylor. All right, any further discussion? All right, Ms. Bernardo, will you please call the roll?
Romaline Bolatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Gracia.
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bill Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Fortune, and thank you to all the representatives of Fortune School.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Grzeck, and yep, you're
Thank
welcome.
you all.
And thank you, Dr. Solari. Absolutely. Congratulations. All right, have a great day. We're going to move on to item 13. Item 13 is a discussion of the 6-month report from High Tech High Graduate School of Education. Administrator Aaron Sullivan and consultant Poonam Bedi. All right, Poonam, I always say Bedi. Is it Bedi or Bedi?
It's Beatty.
Where's the accent? Beatty. Okay, I always put the accent in the wrong place. Beatty. Got it. We'll introduce the item. Joining them today to answer any questions you might have are institutional representatives Dr. Sarah Fine, Program Director, Carol Battle, Multiple Subject Program Manager, and Haley Marugason, Director of Student Affairs. Anyone need to recuse himself? All right, seeing none, Ms. Sullivan, will you please begin?
Yeah, I'm going to begin by passing this to Poonam and thanking her very much for taking the lead on this while I have been pulled in several other directions. So this is all Poonam. Poonam, please.
Erin, thank you so much. All right, so good morning again, committee members. Item 13 is the 6-month report from High Tech High Graduate School of Education, or High Tech High GSE, as I will be referring to them. So High Tech High GSE operates a preliminary multiple subject program and also preliminary single subject programs. They were in stage 5 of the IIA process, and they hosted a provisional site visit in May 2021. So in June of the same year, Erin, Jill, who was our team lead, and I brought the provisional site visit report before this body with a recommendation of accreditation with stipulations. Subsequently, the report went to the commission at its August meeting, and the commission moved to grant High Tech High GSE full institutional approval with the requirement that the stipulation be addressed and presented to the COA within the 6-month time frame that was designated in the team's report. A link to the 6-month report is found on page 1 of this item, and that link will take you to the response to the stipulation webpage that's on High Tech High GSE's accreditation website. And if you scroll down on that first page, that second link is to the provisional site visit team's report. And the stipulation in question is further down on that first page. And since it's just one, I'll just read it to you. The stipulation is that within 6 months, the institution provide evidence that is preparing preliminary multiple subject candidates to teach health and physical education. Now, if we move down to the second page of this item, you'll see that there's a list of links to each of the evidence pieces that were submitted in response to the stipulation. And in particular, High Tech High GSE has created a new course that will be taught this spring titled Deeper Learning in Health and Active Education, as noted on the page. And again, we have institutional representatives, Sarah, Haley, and Carol, present to answer any questions that committee members may have about the actions taken to address the stipulation. And in conclusion, staff recommends that the COA accept this report from High Tech High Graduate School of Education, take action to remove the stipulation, and that the accreditation status be changed from accreditation with stipulations to accreditation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beatty. We now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment on the report.
I can start and just say, first of all, Poonam, thank you so much for your support throughout the process. We all last year, and then we had the privilege of continuing to work with you this year. And as always, it's been a really productive process for us. I just wanted to say, first of all, this has been a really productive push for us. I think Health and Phys Ed was present in our coursework, but not nearly as explicitly as we needed it to be. And so if you take a look at some of our responses to the stipulation, it includes both the creation of some new program experiences for our multiple subject folks, which my colleague Carol Battle can talk about briefly. And also we were able to really sort of notice, name, and expand some of the other ways that Health and Phys Ed experiences are in other coursework that's not explicitly connected to those topics. And we've really been focusing on that this year. So in a lot of different places in other courses, we've been able to dial up our focus on physiological development, on mindfulness practices, on kind of connecting bodies and minds in our curriculum and in the projects that our candidates design, not just for our multiple subject folks, but also for our single subject folks. And then Carol is a former elementary school teacher and has taken the lead on designing our new course on phys ed and health education. Carol, do you want to just briefly speak to that?
Sure. Thank you, Sarah. So first to the committee, thank you so much for the opportunity to take an in-depth analysis of our program and so that we can present the best quality product to our potential teachers. And Poonam and Aaron especially, thank you so much. And in doing that careful analysis, we were able to analyze how our program goals of lesson design, implementation, feedback, and student self-awareness, reflection, and application and evaluation were aligned with health and physical education pedagogical practices and standards. So as a result, we took the integrated project-based curriculum that our residents were already interacting with their cooperating teachers and really pulled out what physical education and health education activities were occurring, and then to see what curriculum might need to be developed, which is the course that Sarah was talking about. So in-class seminars, online forums, observations, put it to practice assignments, the candidates were introduced to, practice, and assessed on the California TPEs for physical and health education. Additionally, as I mentioned, the course is really teasing out what health and physical education practices were already occurring that were integrated within the project-based model that our students are experiencing, and we were really able to deconstruct what might needed to be explicitly added, stated, and what additional resources we might need to offer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the institution wish to offer a comment? All right, are there any questions or comments from any of the committee members? Member Forbes.
Well, I would just like to commend the High Tech High Graduate School of Education on a really innovative and exciting course. And that truly embodied the spirit of deeper learning that is, I know such a foundational part of your work. So congratulations on that. It was fun to read.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Forbes. Any other committee member? Member Larson.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. It was a real pleasure to read through this course. It's a course I'd want to take. It sounds very interesting. It's a great blend of theory and practice. So congratulations.
Thank you, Member Larson. Anyone else? Okay, this is listed as an information action item. However, action is not required, although given the amount of work that's been put into it, I believe it could be appropriate for us to go ahead and vote to accept the report. And if so, we need someone to make a motion. Member Tchaikovsky.
Sorry, just to clarify,
yes, sorry. Thank you. Go ahead, Poonam. That was an error in the notes. Go ahead, Poonam.
So thanks, Cheryl. So just to clarify, the recommendation from staff is indeed to move the accreditation decision from accreditation with stipulations and to remove the stipulation so it becomes accreditation. So we just want to provide that clarification.
So it is an action item.
But it's become an action item by such, yes. Okay.
Apologies.
Yep, no worries. Member Tchaikovsky.
Okay, so let's see if I can get this right. I move that we accept the recommendation for High Tech High Graduate School of Education to remove the stipulations and amend the status to accreditation.
Yay.
Well done, and thereby accepting a 6-month report. Yep, well done, bravo. Is there a second? All right, Member Morrison, you can second only if you repeat exactly what Member Tchaikovsky just said. No, you don't have to, but there is a second from Member Morrison. Any further discussion?
Bob, you're revealing yourself as a music teacher.
Oh, yep. Sorry, I'll back it off. All right, so any further discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Bernardo, will you please call the roll?
Jomeline Bulatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Gracia.
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis. Aye. Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
And motion carries unanimously. So thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you, Dr. Fine. Thank you, Ms. Battle, Ms. Murugeson. I'm sorry, Ms. Sullivan, and Ms. Beatty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Murugeson.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, in true music fashion, moving on to Movement 14. It's a discussion of the 7-year report from the University of San Diego. And the consultant with the best profile pic in the world on Zoom, Jake Schuler, will introduce the item. He's joined by institutional representatives Dr. Heather Herrera, Assistant Dean of Assessment and Accreditation, Dr. Amanda Roth, Professor of Practice and Director of Field Experiences, and our dear friend Dr. Reyes Quezada, Professor and Chair of Department of Learning and Teaching. Anyone need to recuse himself? All right, seeing none, Mr. Schuler, will you please begin?
Thank you, Chair Frelly. Thanks for that great introduction, too. I've been trying to figure out how to take down that beautiful picture just so that I could, be a little more anonymous with the rest of the consultants. But so good morning, everyone. It's still morning. This report is about the 7th-year report for the University of San Diego. Their site visit took place in October of 2020 with former PSD Director Terry Clark serving as the site visit consultant. Of course, Terry then decided to retire and hand off the follow-up duties to me. So thanks to Terry, if she's out there listening. Following the site visit at the January 2021 COA meeting, the COA assigned the status of accreditation consistent with the recommendation of the site visit team. The COA also required USD to submit a 7th-year report addressing the following topics related to their multiple subject, single subject, and education specialist programs. So the first issue was to verify consistent implementation of the new procedures related to clinical practice placements, training for supervisors, and inclusion of supervisors in program improvement for the dual credential program. Second, to report on the strengthening of processes to systematize the collection of feedback from community partners. Throughout the year, I've been in contact with Heather Herrera, Amanda Roth, and Reyes Quezada from USD, and they've been very responsive and a pleasure to work with throughout the year. So in regards to the first issues related to clinical practice, as you'll see from the summary report and in the full report,
USD addressed this issue by instituting a mandatory orientation and a biweekly seminar course to support candidates during student teaching, by using a new tailored training program for supervisors, and by including quantitative and qualitative data from supervisors throughout the semester and the year that's reviewed biannually. In regards to the second set of issues with feedback from community partners, USD addressed this issue by instituting a new advisory group made up of a variety of key internal and external stakeholders that was scheduled to meet twice during the year as of today. So once about 6 months ago and once, I believe, in January. Again, additional details on their efforts to address each of these issues is included in the full report. I'll now turn it over to institutional representatives from USD to provide any further comments.
First of all, thank you to everyone. Again, I want to thank the accreditation team that came over or that was participating in the visit, and we took the suggestions required for the 7th year report, and again were submitted accordingly, and all of the links to each of the areas that were mentioned have been addressed from item 1A, 1B, 1C, and item number 2, as Mr. Schuler had mentioned. We have already met with our stakeholders in terms of addressing item number 2, and we're scheduled to meet twice per year. So our next one would be in the spring. So we just met with them last month, and obviously I will let Dr. Ross address any of the updates on the student teaching or the field placement component. So again, on behalf of the university, just want to thank all of you, and nice to see my former colleagues still there, Jameline, Kathy, Bob, and Cheryl.
Thank you, Dr. Reyes.
Both Cheryls.
Yes,
Dr. Roth, anything you want to mention?
Yes, absolutely. So I was relatively new at USD when we had our visit. So thank you to the team for providing such great feedback, because it gave me an opportunity to better understand our department and our roles and, our strengths and where we needed to improve. So over the last year, we've been working really hard to bolster our field experiences website, which provides information for not only the candidates, but also district stakeholders, cooperating teachers, and our supervisors. So we've incorporated orientations for really all of those components, the supervisors as well, and training components for them as well. And it also gave us an opportunity to look at that supervisor feedback and incorporate them in the process a bit deeper, but also to have that closer connection with our stakeholders across different districts, and also look at the feedback from the students as well, and to see, where were their needs and how could we better meet those. So overall, I think it gave me an opportunity as I was coming into the role to better understand what we could do. So I think we provided some really systematic improvements over the last year as a result of this feedback, and I'm really proud of the program that we have now. So thank you, everybody, for your work on this and for the feedback that you provided.
And Dr. Herrera, thank you. I also want to thank her publicly, as she's kind of been the commander of the ship to address all the issues in terms of accreditation, and then has kept us online and has done great work. So anything from your part, Dr. Herrera?
Well, of course, I want to thank everybody who's been involved in the process. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to work with Terry on this large process, and Jake has been extremely wonderful with his responsiveness to our questions and guiding us through the process. And what I want to emphasize is a little bit of the context, and say that the timing of the feedback was actually perfect, because we were in flux for a bit. We had somebody who was the director of the field placement office for a long time, and she left. And then we had a pandemic, and we were conducting a search for the field placement office, and we were very fortunate that Amanda joined the USD. She comes with a great CV and background and vision for what the office could be. And she transformed it, very quickly transformed it, and made things much more systematic, increased the volume of communication, made the data that gets collected more meaningful. And she's done a wonderful job of giving the students much more ownership and agency in the process for the field placement office. So we couldn't be happier on our end, but we're really, really lucky that the feedback was so thorough, and it gave us the urgency and motivation and direction we needed at the exact right moment. So we're just very, very fortunate. Thanks, everybody.
Again, thank you. That's our report.
Great. Thank you all, Dr. Reyes, Dr. Roth, and Dr. Herrera. The opportunity now for any member of the public who wish to make a comment. All right, hearing none. Any questions or comments from the committee members? Member Forbes.
Well, I just wanted to thank you for all the very careful work and documentation that you did, and sharing access with the course. It's really interesting to see how other institutions are approaching this training and requirement, because I know we've all kind of, had to at times improvise in meeting it. So it was really nice to see the systematic kind of work that you've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Forbes. Any other committee member? I would just like to echo the comments of Member Forbes, and again, thank you and congratulate you for very detailed and exceptional work that is going on there. So thank you so much. This is an action item. So is there a motion from committee member to accept the 7th year report from University of San Diego? Member Hillis.
I'd like to move that we accept the 7th year report from the University of San Diego.
Okay, so moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Cracier. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Romaline Belatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Grisha.
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. So thank you so much. And congratulations, Dr. Roth, Dr. Herrera, Dr. Quezada. Good to see you again. Reyes, next time we have a in-person meeting up here, you got to come up and join us. Revisit our meals and our hangouts at the airport. And thank you also, Mr. Schuler. Although, Jake, you don't get to decide if you take it down. I think we need to do a committee vote if we should go ahead and allow you to take that thing down. All in favor? Yep, keep it up. Okay, so it passed. Anyway, so thank you very much from UC San Diego. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Therefore, I'm assuming now that we had received accreditation with the only item was to submit the 7th year report. So I am assuming it is now, I guess it was always full accreditation, but accreditation with no other reports that are due.
That's correct. So it's official. So you're no more reports. Congratulations. That's great news.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good. Good to see you all. Thank you. All right. Moving on, we have, let's see, we have item 15. We've made up a little bit of time, so not too far behind. And I hope everyone is okay with skipping the next bio break. We're going to be breaking for lunch around noon. So unless there are any objections, we're going to keep moving forward to item 15. Item 15 is a discussion of the 7th year report from California State University, Los Angeles. Consultant Miranda Gutierrez will introduce the item. She is joined by institutional representative Dr. Cheryl Ney, Dean of the Charter College of Education, Dr. Leila Ricci, Interim Chair of the Division of Special Education and Counseling, Dr. Kimberly Persiani, Chair of the Division of Curriculum and Instruction, and Dr. Mitch Freiling, Interim Associate Dean of the Charter College of Education. Does anyone need to recuse himself? I seeing none. Ms. Gutierrez, will you please begin?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, committee members. So this item provides a summary on the Cal State LA 7th year report. As a reminder, Cal State LA had its accreditation site visit in November 2020, and then at the January 2021 committee meeting, this committee accepted the team recommendation of accreditation with a 7th year report. The 7th year report is focused on issues identified during the 2020 site visit, which centered around the education specialist, visual impairment, and teacher induction programs. The 3 areas addressed are listed on page 1 of the agenda item, and the full 7th year report is also linked on that page. And we have the Cal State representatives here to address the actions that they've taken. I will turn it over to Interim Associate Dean Mitch Freiling to discuss those actions in more detail.
Hi, if you don't mind, we actually planned for Dean Ney to kind of start out our little spiel here. So I'll pass it off to Dean Ney.
Thank you, Mitch. Good morning, everyone. We know that you have read and received our short report, so we're not going to restate everything here, except that I want to say that I'm very proud of our team because we certainly took the process seriously. We really hugely benefited from the great feedback during the process. And I am confident as we continue to enact these improvements and future improvements that these programs improved will benefit our students, our faculty, our district employed supervisors, and most importantly, I want you to know that improved programs are going to benefit the children, youth, adult, and families in East Los Angeles that our program completers serve. So I just wanted to remind us of the ultimate beneficiaries of your work and the CTC work and my team's work. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Kimberly?
Hi, thank you so much for inviting us really to share out some of our accomplishments and successes that have resulted from having had the opportunity to reflect on parts of our programs. I'm the one that gets to speak about Induction, our Induction program, and I'd be remiss to not toot our horn a little bit, particularly in the sense that the outcome from our accreditation visit, we became aware of some of the areas in our induction program that could use some attention. At the time of responding to our programs, our induction program was actually pretty new. And we had very few students, but fast forward to this semester, spring 2022, our program's grown very quickly and we have quite a number of students now, which is really exciting. And this feedback has really helped us to develop our induction coordinator role, which was one of our first needs. And Dr. Erica Hamilton has stepped up and she's also assisted us in responding to the feedback. And in turn, helping us do that to revise and refine our practices based on that feedback. Her role has also become very specific, and that's been pretty exciting to see, particularly the work she's doing with the mentors and our participating teachers. Some of the major changes, include providing more support to our mentors through a series of training modules that also include corresponding surveys to identify the effectiveness of those modules. We've also incorporated monthly check-ins, and she also meets at the beginning, middle, and end of the semester with the participating teachers and the mentors. And this is something that we had a huge need for, and the feedback identified this. So I'm really happy with the direction she's been taking this since fall 21 and now in spring 22. In addition, the feedback we received related to the ILP, the Individualized Learning Plan, has been invaluable. That was one of our biggest needs, and defining more fully the process that enables the induction team, which would be the coordinator, the mentors, and the participating teachers, so that we can provide specific suggestions and opportunities for addressing areas of growth throughout the program for the participating teacher is now at the forefront of their discussions, which wasn't really there before. It was more just saying, what do you need? How can I support? Now we're very specific about that. And our response to the feedback required us to articulate this in more specific ways, like directly connecting goals and sub-goals to just-in-time goals and breaking down the performance level descriptors to individual components. And that's been really helpful. We've already received feedback from the mentors and the participating teachers about that. These changes have offered specific support to our participating teachers, and now we even get a chance to see their qualitative responses through the many reflection narratives that we require of them that are also included in the ILP. So we're pretty excited about the direction this is taking and the work that everybody did on your end to help us identify our areas of need has really been invaluable. So it's exciting to see where this is going to take us now, and particularly since we have a really strong coordinator and a very specific articulation of what we're doing to support our candidates.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Persiani. I think that we have all the institution members made a comment, or is there someone else
yes,
who missed
Dr.
who would like
Ritchie,
to comment?
yes, thank you. Dr. Ritchie will have a comment, and Mitch will be our closer.
Good morning, everyone. As I'm looking at all the lovely faces and seeing the very blue hue of my screen, I don't know if you could see that, but I feel kind of like a Smurf today. So I'm Layla Ricci. I'm the interim chair of the Division of Special Education and Counseling, and I want to also express my gratitude to our accreditation site reviewers, the COA. This was a really wonderful opportunity. You know, I stepped into the role as associate chair and then chair, and of course, accreditation can be kind of a scary process, right? But I'm so deeply grateful to the recommendations that we received on our 7th year accreditation. We were able to really focus on one of our low incidence programs, our visual impairments program, that allowed us to really look at our support for our DES and really look at the advising for our students. We conducted surveys and focus groups for students in our visual impairments program and found ways to support students, a notable one of which is hiring a lecturer to support our VI coordinator, who is a sole faculty member in our program. And also the orientation, training, evaluation, and recognition of DES that we needed to look into further for our VI program actually helped us to think about strengthening our programs or our work with our DES across all 4 of our Ed Specialist programs. And it was a really nice segue into the work that we had to do to prepare our Ed Specialist programs for the fall 2020 implementation of the new Ed Specialist standards and TPEs. So I'd really just like to add my thanks to the Commission for allowing us to think further about our programs and giving us wonderful recommendations to strengthen the work that we do for our students. Thank you.
And I don't have a lot to add other than, you know, I guess just to echo what we've said, that we really did get this is sort of a chance for us to focus on some really specific areas within our programs. And that's been really cool to spend the time to really do that. And I think we've learned a lot and really taken all of the recommendations seriously. I also want to thank Miranda, since I have to say she's been very patient with us, and you probably heard the word interim thrown around a couple of times when we were introduced, so I am learning a lot, and I appreciate all of the feedback that Miranda has given our group while we've worked on this process. And yeah, I just want to say thanks to the chairs too, who both Layla and Kimberly, Dr. Ritchie and Dr. Persiani worked really hard with me on this too. So it's a team effort, and thanks to everyone for that.
Thank you. Thank you all for your reporting and your comments. We appreciate that. Any member of the public wish to offer any comment? All right, hearing none, are there any questions or comments from committee members? Member Forbes.
Well, I would just like to congratulate the program on all of the innovations that you're making and for a very thorough report. I'm especially mindful of, as you note in your report, serving a low incidence population of TK-12 students, as well as a small number of candidates within a larger education department or school, brings a lot of institutional challenges. And so I think, providing the coordinator, doing some of the things that you've done, I know those take resources. So I know your candidates and ultimately their students are going to really benefit. We have a low incidence program too, so.
Thank you, Member Forbes. Any other committee member wish to offer a comment or ask a question? All right, seeing none, this is an information or action item. We can choose to vote to accept the report, which would certainly be within our purview. So is there a motion? I saw Member Balatayo, your hand.
Yes, I move that we accept the report from Cal State LA.
Great. The seventh year report. Is there a second? Is there a second by Member Lee?
A second. We moved to approve the report.
No worries. Is any further discussion? All right, Ms. Bernard, will you please call the roll?
Jomaline Bolatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Gracia.
Aye.
Katrina Chakowski.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Cal State LA. We appreciate your work and all your efforts. So thank you, Dr. Ney, Dr. Ritchie, Dr. Persiani, Dr. Freiling, Ms. Gutierrez, and also I have Ms. Asamwani. I did not see her today, but I believe she might have had some role in that. So thank you all for your participation and your efforts. Thank you. And also your patience and waiting for us. Thanks. All right, we're going to move on to item 16, which is the report of the accreditation team to the University of Southern California. Consultants Miranda Gutierrez and Jake Schuler will present the item, and they are joined by team lead Dr. Christine Zeppos and institutional representatives Dr. Pedro A. Noguera, who is the Emory Stoops and Joyce King Stoops Dean of the USC Rossier School of Education, Dr. Kathy Stowe, Associate Dean of Academic Programs and Professor of Clinical Education, Dr. Kathy Gracia, Director of Accreditation and Credentialing. Oh, and we have, I'm sorry, I just noted in the notes here that Dr. Gracia is going to recuse herself.
That is correct.
And then we also have Dr. Yes, and we also have Dr. Pensaval, another old friend, joining us here, Professor of Clinical Education, Faculty Lead for Accreditation Rossier.
I'm also recusing myself. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm sorry, that was Jamali. Okay. So now I would ask for recusals. We have two. We have Member Balatayo and Member Gracia. All right, Ms. Gutierrez, will you please begin?
Thank you. Good morning again. The University of California site visit took place from October 17th to the 19th in 2021. This was a joint visit with National Accreditor, the Council for the Accreditation of Educator Preparation, or CAPE. And the CAPE report is linked in the USC report of this agenda item. The visit was conducted entirely by video technology on Zoom. A total of 387 interviews were conducted with various stakeholders throughout the visit. And despite being conducted entirely online, the site visit proceeded in accordance with all normal accreditation protocols. And Jake will talk a little bit more about the visit.
Thanks, Miranda. So the team at USC was led by Dr. Kathy Gracia, who's recused herself, but is still here to at least hear our comments, who is the Director of Accreditation and Credentialing. Other leadership faculty, program directors, and coordinators were also heavily involved throughout the year. The USC team was fantastic to work with throughout the year leading up to the visit and was extremely thorough in their preparation for the visit. They also had a great website that was well organized and easy to navigate. Also joining by Zoom today is our team lead, Dr. Christine Zeppos. Christine was an absolute joy to work with and a fantastic leader throughout the process. I'd also like to thank our site visit review team for contributing their time and expertise to the visit. I will now stop here and turn it over to Dr. Zeppos, who will present the findings and the accreditation recommendation.
Great. Thank you, Jake, and great to see so many of you, so faces I haven't seen face-to-face in a long time, and looking forward to COVID being over to see you again. Huge thanks to Jake and Miranda, who have been so wonderful to work with over this year plus, and also from behind the scenes, Cheryl Hickey and Aaron Sullivan too. When you get a CAPE visit, and those are always complicated, logistics and so forth, and this team of four have really just been so amazing. And again, Jake and Miranda just walking us through the process. Can't thank you all enough. Yeah, I mentioned it was a CAPE visit, led to some complexities there. And also, we did lose a Common Standards member the day of the beginning of the site visit. And Jake and Miranda's willingness to be able to step in and take interviews to provide the team with all of the evidence that we needed to be able to make our findings, again, was duly noted. So thank you. I want to thank the wonderful site team. This was really a group of superstars that were wonderful to work with. Robert Williams, Dennis Eastman, James Mitchell, Rayanne Lopez-Little, Paul Brazil, and Jessica Bavanovich. Again, thoughtful in all of their discussions and the way they looked at data, the ways that they conducted themselves in the interviews, just so professional, wonderful and kind colleagues, but also with a keen eye to look for areas of improvement, as well as note the numerous strengths that we saw in the USC visit. I also want to thank a couple people from the CAPE visit. Dale Carpenter was the team lead, and he was a joy to work with, was very organized and diligent, and made that seamlessness of, again, dual interviews and multiple people looking for different things in the interviews that we needed to conduct. But I also need to highlight Patty Kirsch, who was the California representative on the CAPE team, who was able to provide the CAPE team with the nuances of California and what data is available, but also provide our team, sometimes when we had questions, she was available to also help us in get data as well. So again, wonderful team. It was just an honor to lead them all, and again, to our CAPE friends. And then finally, I have to thank the wonderful USC colleagues, led by Kathy Kresha. We've been meeting with her a year plus. Kathy Stowe, Margot Pensaval, and Steve Hayden. We've walked through the process and the details, again, of organizing this, and they have just been so responsive and dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. And again, doing it in such a professional and wonderful manner. It was a joy to work with them. And to the deans, Dean Pedro Negoro, who we're going to hear from today, and also Dean Sarah Gelhart, who was the Dean of Social Work. Again, having programs in two areas led by two different deans often can lead to some complexity, but certainly learning about the collaboration and the collaborative spirit made that part of the process very easy. And so again, a joy to work with the leadership as well. And I have to note, sometimes they get left off, just the staff, especially Cecilia Olmos. She was amazing in putting together, again, a very, very complex schedule, having two teams in different rooms and the nuances and a virtual visit. Just a huge kudos to her, because it provided us with the opportunity to get all the data that we needed, meet with all the constituents in a very seamless and easy manner. So again, thank you to the USC team. And now getting on to the findings, I know we're behind on the meeting time, but I also know that we provided you with quite a lengthy report. So let me give you an overview of what I would want to know if I were in your seat, of how we came to these findings. So I'm not going to go into detail on the various findings, other than we did have, again, all the interviews that we needed. We did have the people in front of us, all of the stakeholder groups, the candidates, the employers, the completers, and stakeholders to really be able to get the full picture. We were provided with an extensive amount of data, and the team felt in looking at all the pieces of evidence that we were able to make a unanimous decision. And that decision was accreditation with stipulations. So let me highlight, knowing that you've seen 3 of the areas were met with concerns: Common Standard 1, 2, and 4. And then some program standards that weren't met, and that's within the preliminary administrative services area. So the 4 main themes of our discussions and what we heard from these stakeholder groups and what we learned from the review of the data is that in the preliminary administrative service credential program, leadership changes that led to a lot of the findings that we put into the report. Not only leadership changes, but then also with some of the staffing changes as well, with fieldwork coordinators, and that led to some inconsistencies. And that was highlighted again through all those groups that we spoke with, the candidates, the completers, and others that work with those groups. And that led to varying support. It led to various differences and nuances and adherence to the standards. And it also led to us hearing about a lack of a voice from the Preliminary Administrative Services program in the full unit. And so that's the first thing I wanted to highlight within that particular program and how it bubbled up to some common standards, met with concerns. That's the highlight nuances there. The second area was in social work. So I highlighted here are two highly collaborative deans. And it was, again, I met with each of them personally and asking various aspects for Common Standards 1. And both the attention to detail to be able to meet program standards was without a doubt. That was never a concern. But having a few programs, the social work and school counseling outside of the Rossier School, where Dr. Dean Navura is the unit head, sometimes there wasn't the systematic voice of those programs at the unit table. So while the standards were getting met, the opportunity for unit improvement and how it bubbled up into formal communication didn't always happen. And that led to some disjointedness that came through with the interviews and also in the data review. I will note the reason that we weren't deeply concerned about this is both deans said that they wanted to formalize that they actually were going to make that a priority to now formalize that seat at the table for a representative, whether it's Steve or another from the social work area, to be able to have that regular and systematic voice as it feeds into the accreditation process. The third area is in credentialing support. And so your colleague, Kathy Kresha, being the Director of Accreditation, also oversees all credentialing. And I am just in awe of how much she oversees, how that office is able to process just a voluminous amount of work, provide support to candidates. That's just bursting at the seams. And so it came through in the stakeholder feedback that the students, while they got great support, it wasn't the necessary full support as sometimes timely. They all noted repeatedly how overworked the staff was. And so then that led to two areas of concern that again became with the advice and assistance in Standard 2. And then also in the institutional support in Standard 1, does the unit have enough of the opportunity to provide the unit to be able to provide at the highest levels what those candidates need to be able to ensure all the standards are fully met. So that's that third area that came through loud and clear. And then the final thing was just a note from some of the candidates, again, the mission of USC and the focus on social justice and diversity of candidates. It did come through with some stakeholders that there's an opportunity for a greater voice and for that voice to be heard in a systematic way to improve that area. And I know we highlighted that with the dean and with the leadership, and we're quite pleased that that was addressed to be able to work on as well. So again, not something that we see as a long-term concern, but something again with new dean leadership, something to hear, and certainly an area that came through with some of the stakeholder feedback. So I'm going to leave it there and then certainly be open to any questions that you have of the discussions that the team had, how we came to those conclusions. We did recommend a quarterly report. We didn't think a 7th year visit what was necessary or any other type. We felt that all of these areas of concern were fairly easily rectified with the dean's leadership and the leadership of USC. Once alerted, feel that they're fairly easy to rectify these concerns. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the detailed report, Dr. Zeppels. We now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you it's not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather provide any thoughts that you might have about the visit itself.
Oh, great. Thank you. I'll go ahead and take the lead on that. I would just like to say thank you to the CTC team for expertly guiding us through this process. And as many of our colleagues have mentioned before, nobody looks forward to this process. It can be somewhat uncomfortable at times. but our Rossier team and the CTC team really worked well together. And I appreciated their coordination with the CAPE team as well. Jake and Miranda were accessible, supportive. The professionalism of the CTC team, and of course the team lead, Christine, just greatly appreciated and wonderful. So I really just want to say thank you. And I do really want to give a public shout out and heartfelt thanks to Margot Pensaval, my partner in this endeavor, as well as Cecilia Olmos, who really, a Herculean effort and beyond excellent job in really organizing and helping us with our site visit calendar and really communicating in terms of getting our different stakeholder groups to the table for the interviews. We appreciate all the feedback that we have received, and we've already begun the work in addressing the stipulations and concerns. As you know, we are very proud of our programs. We appreciate the opportunity to explain our processes and how we operationalize our mission across all of our programs. And, we are just really happy to be able to continue that work. And being on the other side of this table virtually, it's an interesting perspective, as I'm sure you realize. And, as I listen to the various other institution report outs, and I just want to confirm that the process does work. It is extremely helpful to hear other perspectives of how we do things and to examine our processes and our communications. And it's just essential for the work that we all do as educators in preparation programs. And it's essential for organizational growth and for program improvement. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Grisha. Would anybody else wish to make a comment? Any other member from the USC team?
Hi, Bob. I'd like to make a comment. Hi, everybody. So many familiar faces. Having sat on the COA for several years, I just want to reiterate, first of all, I want to second everything Kathy said. This was a great process for us to go through, and we really appreciate all the teamwork between CTC and USC, and I know we're going to come out with a lot of improvements on the other side. This was a very complex visit, I think, as Jake or Miranda said. Not only was it CTC and CAPE, it was also, like many other programs, during the time of COVID. And we had Dean Karen Gallagher passing the baton to Dean Noguera, and both were equally supportive and picked up where the other one left off. And it has just been amazing to be part of that transition. I also want to really thank our program leads. Our program leads, we had bumps in the road, and those have been described, but they were very responsive to the feedback we got from CTC. In our teacher preparation, we've implemented a very unique program that's a dual program with general education and special education credentialing happening simultaneously with no extra units and no extra cost. And there are very few of those in the state of California. So, and sometimes we were walking on eggshells, saying, gee, I hope this is the right thing to do. And we got really good feedback from CTC. So I just want to say thank you. We're moving forward. It's been a really good experience, and we're only going to come out better on the other side. So thanks.
Just briefly, Pedro Noguera here. Just want to also thank Christine Zeppos and the team that led the review. As you've heard, we're taking this to heart. We consider our professional preparation programs very important and central to our mission. And we took the feedback in the spirit of constructive criticism, and we're moving at it. So thank you.
And on behalf of school social work, ditto everything that was just said.
Okay, thank you all for your comments. This is now an opportunity for members of the public to offer any comment. And not hearing any, this is an opportunity now for members of the COA to offer any questions or comments. Member two.
Just a comment, it was a very long and complex report, and very thorough, and I thank everybody for their obvious efforts and industry in putting that together. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Taylor. Anybody else? Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, I would echo that as well. Dr. Noguera, I was just curious about your observations given the leadership changes. We've heard that several times today from a variety of programs that it might just be timing, but there's also this institutional change gets magnified or revealed or thwarted sometimes in a change of leadership when the CTCs or when the COA's accreditation expectations remain constant. So I know that was kind of a convoluted question, but what would you observe as possibly the two challenges associated with leadership change in terms of meeting the standards, particularly in the admin program at your institution?
Thank you for the question. For me, the primary challenge was taking on the dean's job during COVID and working from home and not really interacting directly with faculty, staff, and administrators at Rossier until fairly recently. And so while, Zoom works, as this meeting shows, it's not the same for actually meeting and learning about this complex work that we've been doing. We have made some changes, and I'm not sure if Kathy Stowe, our Associate Dean, could talk about some of the leadership changes and supports we put in place now at in our programs, if that would be helpful.
Sure. I think we're constantly looking to improve what we're doing. And I think when at the time of the interview, our former dean was unable to join as well because of health issues. And since I think it was just recent, we've had the associate dean of community engagement take over the area of administrative credential program. And we've had some transitions with folks who are in director positions, and we've had new leadership along the way. And as we transition, we're going to continue to have leadership changes. And so we're looking forward to the opportunities to really improve what we're already doing in our multiple areas of academic programs.
Can I just follow up on that? Just like one super quick question then too. I mean, we're all operating in this kind of weird environment, the online thing. Is there any particular practice or system of communication that you found helps to overcome some of that disconnection in your institution? Is there a protocol or any type of tool or a system that you've come to use that you think has potential under these conditions, from which other universities and programs could learn?
Well, we've had the fortune of having an online program since 2010. So this way of communicating isn't new to us. When we've sort of learned from multiple ways to improve our communication, and it's in the platform. This is the platform we use for our classes. So when COVID hit, really the university looked to us for expertise in the learning management system as a way to communicate, because this is the way we've been doing things. And we don't really see a bump in terms of the communication gap. Of course, when we had a brand new dean, it would have been great to meet in person and have all of that. But because of our experience with online education for well over 10 years now, we've sort of moved along in that way. So I don't know if I have any tidbits in terms of what we can share, but
I was just thinking of the huge transformation that teachers have undergone in terms of Google Classroom and Google Drive and shared documents and all these different ways of connecting people that weren't in place when we had in-person, only existence. So I was just thinking there might be a parallel to that at the organizational management, instructional leadership dimension.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Co-Chair Martinez.
Oh, thank you, USC team. I just had I believe this would be for Dr. Stowe. A question that came up for me was about, I think it's an external contractor that you have to you. Can you tell us about their current role and kind of how they provide services to you or what they do?
Sure. We've partnered with them since the beginning of our MAT program, and Margot here has been instrumental in getting that off the ground. They are the main drivers for recruitment, and they market for us, and they provide the learning management system. We used to use Adobe Connect when we first started, and then they've moved on to different things. And so they're working with us on developing the course content for the online programs that we have partnered with 2U.
And I'd just like to piggyback on that and just say that all curricular decisions, all grading decisions, all admissions decisions are all made by faculty. They are our technology advisor. They keep our LMS going. They make sure that the students have a place to post all their assignments. We have some asynchronous material on the LMS. And, some people like online learning. Some people prefer in-person learning. So we give students the opportunity to choose one or the other. But we have an online management system for all students, just for the facility of it. But all curricular and professional and educational decisions are made by the faculty. They are our technology partner.
And our online and on-campus programs have exactly the same curriculum.
Yeah. Same faculty, everything. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. That answered my question, especially both your responses. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee member wish to offer a comment or have a question? All right, seeing none, this is an action item. So is there a motion from a member of the committee?
Member Freely, can I just ask a question, just so that I'm clear? So if the COA accepts the report as written, it would be a recommendation of accreditation with stipulations with a quarterly report. Is that correct? Not like a 6-month or 7th year. It should be a quarterly report.
That's correct.
Okay. I could move, therefore.
Member Taylor.
Is that, sorry, I was just looking for it in the list of recommendations. Can you point to which number that is, Christine or Miranda?
It's number 1 under the stipulations.
Thank you.
Number 1.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
So, Katrina, with that in mind, did you wish to make a motion?
Yeah, I think so. Let's try this. So I would like to move that we accept the recommendation for Rossier School of accreditation with stipulations as suggested.
I have a question though. If we're requesting a quarterly report looking at the form, doesn't that fall under major stipulations rather than just stipulations? Just want a clarification on that.
You can actually, these are the chart that you're looking at are recommended, are possible, but it's entirely up to the committee to decide what that.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yep. So you can maintain the stipulations. Yeah, you can maintain stipulations as is and still with requesting the quarterly report.
Okay, I wasn't aware that was a possibility. Thank you.
Sure. Yep.
And Bob, I think team lead Zeppos wanted to say something.
Yeah, Dr. Seppo?
Provide some clarity behind recommendation. We did have conversation with Cheryl and certainly Jake and Miranda, because we didn't feel it went into the category of major stipulations, but we did feel that there were necessary changes that needed to be reported on more formally. So they did say that that was an option to just have the increased reporting to ensure that there was movement and change.
Okay, thanks, Christine.
Thank you.
Okay, so having said that, back to Member Tchaikovsky. Just to be sure we're on the same page, would you please restate your motion?
Okay, so I move that we accept the recommendation of accreditation with stipulations, expecting quarterly reports from Rossier School.
Great, thank you. Well stated. Is there a second?
I have a question. I have a question.
Oh, yes, Cheryl.
Well, not to nitpick, but I want it to be clear in the recommendation that we're accepting the team's recommendation of accreditation with all of the stipulations that they listed. Because there were a number of them, not only the quarterly report.
Correct. Yeah, I believe that was just the clarification as far as what stipulation noted the quarterly report, but I do understand your request for clarification throughout. Okay.
So I can amend that to move that we accept the recommendation of accreditation with stipulations from Rossier. Yeah, Cheryl, does that work?
As noted in the report. All right, thank you. Okay, thank you. There's our motion. Is there a second?
Second.
By Member Forbes. Any further discussion? All right, Michelle, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you all for the detailed discussion and the information throughout. This is very useful for all of us, and congratulations then to Dr. Noguera, Dr. Stowe, Dr. Cracia, Dr. Pensaval, good to see you again, Margot, Dr. Zeppos, and Ms. Gutierrez.
And Dr. Hyden.
Thank you all.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Howdy. Have a great day.